好，今天在洋基队呢要跟大都会队进行地铁大战的第3场比赛。那在今天将是要由王建民来担任先发的投手。王建民要争取个人在今年球季最长的一个4连胜，同时也是今年的第7胜。
对，而且你看到今天的这个英语的评述人员，就是 commentator 是 Joe Morgan， 你就知道今天这场比赛在全美是礼拜天的全国电视转播。Sunday Night Baseball， 因为前面的比赛已经全部都打完了。 这个今天的比赛就只剩下这一场比赛，所以被选为是 Game of the Day 所以是全国电视转播，又是要由王建民来担纲担任洋基队的先发投手，所以又是却受到了大家的一个瞩目。
对，那今天这场比赛呢，王建民要碰上对方的先发投手呢是来自古巴籍的这个投手El Duque 这个公爵 Orlando Hernandez。那先来看一下今天呢到目前为止整个战绩的情况。 呈现出来的是在国家联盟东区的部分，去年拿下东区冠军的大都会队，目前还是保持领先。
但是跟第2名跟第3名勇士队跟费城人队的差距已经是越来越小了，就分别2场跟2场半的差距。这就跟洋基队在上个月在跟大都会队在进行地铁大战之前，洋基队跟第1名的波士顿红袜队差距非常大。 但从那个地铁大战之后，洋基队最近的状况可以说非常好，在6月份是12胜2败的一个战绩。所有大联盟所有的30个球队里面，洋基队在6月份的战绩是排名第1的。
好，我们继续看到画面上呈现的是 Willie Randolph 这个大都会队的总教练那今年是带兵第3年，有5成56的一个胜率，其实也是近10几年来大都会队的这个带兵的总教练当中，其实胜率算是最高的一位。
那今天正好也是美国的这个 Father's Day 父亲节，所以你会在球场上看到非常多的父亲做父亲的带小孩子进场看球。这在美国好像是做父亲应该尽的义务这是责任，一定要在夏天带小孩子到美国职棒大联盟的球场上去看看球。
好，还没有当父亲的王建民呢，现在已经是走进了场内，他在牛棚应该是做完最后的一个练投，准备要来进到场内。当然，今天是在美国的部分呢是6月的第3个星期天，我们知道5月的第2个星期天是母亲节，那6月的第3个星期天，则是美国的这个父亲节。所以今天这场比赛是在美国的父亲节当天的晚上8点05分要来展开这一场比赛。那王建民刚刚看到他已经是准备好要来担任今天这一场比赛的先发投手。不过过去王建民从来没有在地铁大战这么热闹的纽约内战当中出场。对，
过去很奇怪。 虽然说前年这个王建民就已经升到了大联盟，所以在这过去2年当中，地铁大战已经进行了4个回合了。每一年他们要进行2个回合，就每一回合都是个3连战。但是无巧不巧，王建民在前年是因为受伤的关系错过了。那去年没想到全年的先发，但每次碰到地铁大战，但是正好是跳过，倒不是刻意的被跳过，就正好排这个顺序的时候就没有排到地铁大战去担任先发。那终于在今年，而且是地铁大战第2回合，终于他有机会。 能够在这第3战等于是压轴演出。那前面5场比赛，洋基队是以2胜3败是落后给这个大都会队。那当然希望能够在这最后一战扳回来，靠着王建民的优异的表现。如果说洋基队能够获胜，至少在今年的地铁大战的这个6场比赛里面，可以跟大都会队战成一个3胜3败平分秋色的局面。对，
那当然赛前呢，大家在讨论的就是呢，王建民要碰上这个大都会队。前面2场比赛，大都会队最难缠的就是第1棒的游击手盗垒王 Jose Reyes。那王建民也表示，其实像他过去对战这个脚程非常快的魔鬼鱼，在第1年一样的一个情况，他非常讨厌这种好像打小球的球队。那今天这场比赛，博士你觉得可能在面对到像这样的球队，王建民大概要有什么样的策略？
我想没有一个投手喜欢碰到这种。 脚程非常快的这种给你压迫性的这种球队的这种选手，所以像 Jose Reyes 或者 Gomez 是第9棒，都是脚程非常快。事实上，大都会队从第1棒到第9棒，除了 Delgado 没有什么脚程之外，没有什么盗垒威胁性之外，其他每一名跑垒者都有盗垒的威胁性，他们之间差别只是威胁性大一点或者威胁性小一点而已，都非常难缠。所以当然面对这种打击者，你一定要在球速上。 先要取得领先，
对
你不能够在球上落后。昨天 Tyler Clapper 就是不断的保送了第1棒的打者，也就是这个 Jose Reyes。如果说不让他安打，就免费送他上1垒，你等于是在自找麻烦。我相信这2天王建民看了对这个大都会队的比赛以后，心里面也了然于胸，知道要怎么样来对付这些快腿的跑垒者。
对，所以这场比赛呢，当然王建民要对上这些非常具有脚程的打者，控球的部分将是一大的关键。那另外提到呢，今天大都会队的先发投手，过去也曾经是洋基队的这个球员 Orlando Hernandez， 其实他今年的状况感觉有渐渐越来越好。虽然大家有人说他已经超过40岁了，那实际的年龄上，登陆的是37岁，但这位老投手呢，今年好像有回春的一个感觉，整个防御率还不到3。不过过去他对洋基的战绩其实并不理想。
对 ，El Duque 就是公爵先生，来自古巴的这位投手，他6年上到大联盟的前6个球季都是跟着洋基队，而且前3年跟着洋基队正好是洋基队的3连霸的时候，那个时候都拿到世界大赛的冠军，他也帮忙洋基队做了非常多的贡献，尤其在季后赛。他就是标准的所谓大赛型的选手，越到重要的比赛，越到了季后赛，尤其到了世界大赛，他的表现是越佳。在季后赛曾经创下了这个8连胜的一个记录，那个时候是非常非常辉煌。当然现在已经41岁，而且这3场比赛非常有意思的地铁大战，每一场比赛都是一个40多岁老投手来面对一个20几岁的新秀，都是老少配，而且前2场比赛对，前2场比赛呢都是年轻的投手打败了老将，昨天就是。这个Tom Glavine 又受到伤害，当然不是说是被 Clipper 打败，但是至少也是年轻投手的代表的那一队获胜。那今天又是年轻的王建民来碰上41岁的 Orlando Hernandez。
所以第一场比赛是老投手 Roger Clemens 吞下败投，那昨天也是超过了40岁的这个赛扬奖投手呢 Tom Glavine 吞下败投。那今天又是一个传闻当中超过40岁的 Orlando Hernandez 要来先发，那碰上的是今年27岁的王建民。好，今天这场比赛呢，在洋基的主场要来进行。看到今天洋基队要面对到的大都会队，王建民要碰上的打线，包括第一棒的 Jose Reyes， 第二棒的是卢卡，今天是第二棒来。那昨天的第2棒呢 ，Carlos Beltran 今天调到了第3棒，原本第3棒的 David Wright 今天调到了第4棒，而 Delgado 呢今天则是打第5棒的位置。另外今天的指定打击部分呢是排上了2垒手的老将 Jose Valentin。另外呢在第7棒的部分是 Sean Green， 8棒是这个 Ruben Gotay， 他昨天也击出了1发的全垒打。另外第9棒也是脚程非常快的 Carlos Gomez， 也是一名菜鸟的选手。
对，这样的一个打击顺序，其实才是过去2年呢由 Willie Randolph 所领军的大都会队一个比较正常的打线。那前2天尝试让Beltran去打第2棒，他自己公开表示他不太喜欢打第2棒，所以现在总教练也尊重他的意愿，又把他调回到第3棒的打线去了。
我们看到王建民呢，在过去出赛了10场6胜4败 3.49 的投手自责分率。当然，他的伸卡球是让打者呢有时候看得到打不好的一个球路。那另外，包括他今年在整个配球的部分也增加了滑球以及变速球的一个配球的使用。
对，那也是另外一个原因因为他比较增加了使用滑球跟变速球，所以造成了也没有那么多的滚地球出现，有的时候会出现一些飞球。
好，那在今天呢排出来的整个守备。
Gloves were won while he was at shortstop, not third base, but he's been playing very, very well the last 30 games. 1 error in those 30 ball games.
Alex Rodriguez doing just about everything well these days, especially when he's in that batter's box. And there's Chin Ming Wong, the right-hander, who has become somewhat of a national hero in his native Taiwan. The complete package here when he was working on a perfect game for 8 1/3 innings against the Seattle Mariners back on May the 5th. Ben Broussard broke up the no-hitter with that home run. That was 1 out in the 9th inning. Wong allowed another hit and then was taken out of the game and congratulated by Ron Guidry. Louisiana Lightning himself, Chin Ming Wong. His numbers for that ball game. So here we go. Jose Reyes takes 2 high as he bluffs the bunt for ball 1.
Well, Jose Reyes won the game almost single-handedly on Friday. Drove in both of the runs against Roger Clemens. Was 3 for 3. Stole 3 bases. I mean, he's been running wild this weekend here in New York.
Shallow left field. Jeter is out, and in is Matsui. It is Matsui. So Reyes kept off the bases right here. 1 away, and the batter will be Paul Lo Duca. 87 degrees at game time. There's Yankee Stadium, where it has sat since the early 1920s, and just out beyond left field, the new Yankee Stadium as it's being erected. The new Yankee Stadium scheduled to open the year after next, 2009. So a lot of excitement here as they are preparing to soon move out of this historic yard, the house that Ruth built. Here's Lo Duca against Wong. And he is hit. He's hurting a little bit, I think, Joe. And why not? It hurts.
Yeah, I don't think it's any time the ball hits you, especially if it hits you solidly as that one did, it's not going to hurt. But he just kind of freezes, gets him on the left elbow. He does have a pad on the elbow, so that'll help him a little bit. But you see, he doesn't really try to get out of the way. I mean, he just kind of froze there, and it hit him.
That is the 5th time this year that Luduka has been hit by a pitch. Wong, by the way, has hit 5 batters. This is his 11th start of the year, and he has hit more batters than any other Yankee pitcher. Ray Ramirez, one of the Mets trainers, making sure that Luduka's well enough to continue before heading back to the dugout. So Luduka at least will run the bases here. The batter will be Carlos Beltran. Beltran had the huge year for the Mets last year, but he's not having a huge first half for them so far this year. Only 9 home runs. Hit 41 a year ago. That's a called strike. Both Beltran and Delgado have struggled in the first half of the year. Delgado had 38. Of the All-Star festivities. Here's the Yankee batting order presented by Taco Bell. Johnny Damon, the designated hitter. It'll be Derek Jeter at shortstop, having a big year. Bobby Abreu, and he has gotten hot since the Yankees' early troubles. Alex Rodriguez started hot. He simmered for a while in May, and he's hot again. Jorge Posada, he's one of the league's leading hitters, the catcher. Hideki Matsui, he's been hot. Look at those RBIs. He's well on his way to 100 again. Robinson Cano at second base. That average has been rising. Melky Cabrera in center field. Miguel Cairo is at first base for New York, batting 9th, all up against El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. There are different estimates on his age, anywhere from 37 to 41 years old. But Joe, he can still play a lot of tricks out there. And a fastball to Johnny Damon for a strike.
Well, the key to El Duque, you know, his velocity will change. He'll throw some change-ups anywhere from 60 to his fastball 90 miles an hour. Has a lot of different angles. I think that's what really helps him against right-handed hitters. And it also helps him sometimes against left-handers because he tucks and he hides the ball pretty well. But he's like all the pitchers who do not throw hard. They have to have good location. And he does not want to fall behind these Yankee hitters too often because they'll make him work harder.
Strike 3 call, outside corner at the knees. Johnny Damon is quickly gone.
And that's what he does so well. I mean, when he gets ahead in the count, he keeps you off balance. And let's take a look at this pitch on the nationwide K zone. See the target, and he hits the target. Johnny Damon thought it was a little bit outside, and it was very close.
K zone thought maybe half an inch.
Yeah. I don't think the umpire's eyes are that good, or anyone else's for that matter.
Well, even Major League Baseball tells the umpires if you're within 2 inches, then that's acceptable. That's a called strike to Derek Jeter.
And not only was that a good strike, John, it's right on the outside edge as he did with Johnny Damon. he has stayed out of the middle so far with these first two hitters.
And that's his stock and trade. Changing speeds, changing arm angles as he delivered from the side right there. He dropped down.
And the reason that when a guy changes his arm angle and he drops down like that, it's not that it scares you, it's the fact that you do not pick the ball up as quickly as you would like.
And he slings it in there, sidearm again, outside, 2-1. Derek Jeter, he's hitting .343.
And he struggled for a little while, and he's hot again.
I dropped down and threw him a curveball. It spun outside, 3-1.
Well, after the first pitch right over the edge, he has missed outside with 3. You can see he's making a conscious effort to stay away from Jeter.
Nobody out. And that's a base hit. Gotay could not get there. So Derek Jeter, another base hit. It's a rare game when he doesn't have at least one hit.
When you talk to Jeter, he will say that it's not a big deal, you know, when he plays against Jose Reyes. Ball's down and away. You can see second baseman Valentin actually broke the wrong way first. It looked like Gotay, I'm sorry. I thought he was leaning the wrong way. He thought he was going to go to the right side of the bag, and it went straight back through the middle.
So he was anticipating something.
Yeah, he saw the ball was away, and he was leaning that way.
Here's Bobby Abreu, the veteran, and he's looking like himself again. Things were so bad for Abreu the first 7-8 weeks of the season that there was a lot of talking amongst the chattering classes that maybe he was finished. But suddenly he got it going in the Fenway Park a couple of weeks ago. And he bunts, fouling it.
That's not a bad play right there, because David Wright was playing deep at third base, and he figures as hot as A-Rod is, if I can just get on base here, put 2 runners on base, we may be able to score a lot of runs here in the first inning. Normally you do not like your third place hitter bunting in the first inning, but he was definitely trying to beat it out, and David Wright has not changed his position, still playing back.
1 ball, 1 strike. The high curveball missing from Orlando Hernandez. Bobby Abreu, as you see, was very cold early on, but in June hitting over 400, getting a lot of walks again after really the worst month of his entire big league career. One thing about Abreu, he's been pretty steady. Pretty well always count on him hitting somewhere around 290, 300, getting around 100 walks, being on base all the time, playing a pretty good right field, stealing some bases. And then all of a sudden in May, it just was not there for Abreu, and the walks dried up too. That's Jeter at first, and Abreu takes the ball off the outside. 2-1 the count. Alex Rodriguez, the red hot Alex Rodriguez, on deck. Foul off the facing of the upper deck.
And you see what's happening is after starting off throwing strikes to Damon and getting ahead of Jeter, he has missed, and then he's been pitching from behind. And when he has to throw him this fastball, he's going to be in a lot of trouble, because these guys will be patient until they get the fastball. There, just look on the Nationwide K-Zone, that he's lucky that that ball was pulled foul, because it had a lot of the plate. And there comes El Duque's calling him out. I think he's finding that he's not having good enough success with his fastball, and he's going to stay away from that pitch even when he's behind in the count.
El Duque facing the Yankees, the team with which he started his major league career after he escaped from Cuba. 2-2 the count, and he comes in with that hard breaking ball just off the outside. 3-2.
And in the Joe Torre era, they would always want run in this situation, 3-2. He likes to put the runners in motion, so you can expect Jeter to take off at first base.
He helped the Yankees win 3 World Series while he was here, and he loved being a Yankee. There goes Jeter, just as you expected. That's a fly ball, and the center fielder Beltran takes it. Abreu retired.
But you could also see there he did not throw him a fastball on a 3-2 count. And he's going to try to stay away from fastball counts throwing the fastball.
Now Alex Rodriguez. Rodriguez, who is leading not only in home runs, but in runs batted in, leading the American League, leading both leagues in each category. Hitting .309, his on-base average is over 400. And he's making all the plays at third base, too. Only 1 error, as you said, Joe, in the last 30 games over there. Jeter at first, 2 down, no score in the game. And the sidearm curve is inside for ball 1. Alex Rodriguez started the year hitting home runs at an historic pace. He hit 14 homers in April, but he also hit 14 in the first 19, 20 games of April. Then he cooled off in May, and then in June, red hot again. And back to the bag is Derek Jeter. And it really was right at the end of May that he turned that around. Those month periods make nice little neat packages, but it all really started the night that all the controversy in Toronto. There's a fastball inside where he was running to third base on a pop-up and shouted something at the Toronto third baseman who never caught the ball. And A-Rod had an excellent game that night. The Yankees ended a losing streak that night, and they've been winning steadily ever since. They've gone 13-3 since that game. Deep to left field. You can forget about this one. Another home run for A-Rod. A spectacular shot into the corner of the visiting bullpen. Wow.
Let's take a look at the pitches. A curveball that hangs inside. Fastball in. Now he's back to 2-0 count. He drops down. And again, he cannot throw Yankee hitters fastballs in fastball counts because his fastball's just not good enough. But the way A-Rod is swinging the bat now, you cannot make any mistakes with it.
Posada on the curveball. That's Reyes behind second. And he throws out Posada. And the inning is over. But a tape measure home run by Alex Rodriguez. Old days. Alex Rodriguez with a big 2-run homer, a long one. And the Yankees with a 2-0 lead as Chin Ming Wong goes to work here in the second to the Mets cleanup hitter David Wright. And that sinker a little bit low for ball 1. David Wright up to 285 with his batting average. Just a few weeks ago, he was struggling to keep the average above 230 and was not hitting any home runs. But Wright has turned it around now. 24-year-old, one of the Mets' bright young stars. He and Reyes, sort of the foundation for what the Mets have been doing. They've brought in some veterans, added veterans around them. But they feel that Wright and Reyes give them a solid foundation for many years to come. And Wright with a foul off the right field line. He was very late on that fastball from Chin Ming Wong. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's Jose Reyes. Reyes is fun to watch, Joe. He's exciting, but at the same time, it looks like he's having fun.
Well, I mean, I think he's the most exciting player in the game, whether it's in the field, at bat, on the bases, or in the dugout. He is always fun to watch.
The ground ball. Derek Jeter in a hurry. A very nice acrobatic looking play there by Jeter. Reyes-like. Now to the studio for a SportsCenter 30 at 30. Here's Dave Revson.
Thank you, John. Angel Cabrera's first ever PGA Tour win, the U.S. Open. 37-year-old Argentine fired a 69 today, beat Tiger Woods by a stroke. Cabrera, the fourth straight foreign-born U.S. Open champ. Barry Bonds' career homer number 748 today, 7 shy of Hank Aaron's mark. Took Tim Wakefield deep. Giants lose to the Red Sox, though, 9-5. Next SportsCenter, 11 Eastern. ESPN News always keeps you current.
Carlos Delgado. There's A-Rod. He's up to his feet. He got it. He robbed him.
Well, Delgado has been going the other way. He got a base hit that way yesterday. And you can see how far off the bag A-Rod is playing, and he still has to dive for it. Nice play by A-Rod. And Delgado is robbed. You know, when you're hitting 224, this happens to you a lot. When you hit the ball hard, they catch it. And when you make a normal out, you're just going to have an at-bat.
Now Jose Valentin, normally the Mets' second baseman. He's the designated hitter tonight. And he takes ball one. Valentin spent most of the early part of this year on the disabled list. This is only his 28th game played. He had 24 home runs last year for the Mets. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
Well, last year I thought he was really an unsung hero for the Mets because they had Kaz Matsui playing second base. They got rid of him, and then Valentin came in, and he played exceptionally well. And as you said, he also added some pop to the lineup. You can see the big brace he has on his right leg. You know, he had the knee problem earlier this year, and he's wearing a large brace. When I talked to him before the game, he said he's slowly getting back into the rhythm of the game, but he doesn't feel that he's there yet.
Two and two the count. Long changed up on him right there. Joe Torre said that he'd thrown that change up with a little more polish, a little more accomplished with that pitch now. And the slider is a little more of a perfected pitch for him now. He'll throw each of them a little more often than he used to. Strike 3 call. That one came back from the inside and over the corner. Another strong inning for Wong. 2-0 Yankees. Matsui coming up. The season in this interleague series, and here is Matsui taking ball 1 from El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. Yankees earlier in the week faced El Duque's younger half-brother, himself an accomplished major league pitcher of many years standing, Livan Hernandez, and they beat him. Livan now with Arizona, and that is a changeup swung on and missed. 1 ball and 1 strike.
It doesn't matter whether it's the changeup, the sinker, but he's going to have the ball moving down more. His fastball was pretty straight, and he's throwing a lot of sliders, but he's going to have something that's moving down to keep these Yankees in the ballpark.
And too low. 2 balls and a strike to Matsui. Matsui has really come on. His average just below 300 now. And he's got that very solid RBI pace going again until he got hurt last year. As that slow curveball misses up and away, ball 3. He was a steady 100 RBI man ever since coming to the Yankees from the Tokyo Giants.
Well, when I look at this lineup, I expect A-Rod to just stay hot.
That is a base hit. Gotay couldn't get to it. And that's the 3rd hit for the Yankees against Orlando Hernandez.
And the reason I say that is when you look around A-Rod, I mean, you're going to have Derek Jeter, Damon, Abreu hitting in front of him. You got Matsui, Posada, these guys hitting behind him. You're going to have a constant flow of Yankees on the bases, and I just think A-Rod's going to have a fantastic year because of that. The other guys are going to have some good years as well, but that's Matsui's forte there, is driving in runs, getting base hits with runners in scoring position. And when you just watch and see how hot Jeter's been, I mean, he just sets the stage for A-Rod day in and day out.
Robinson Cano, He had 342 last year in his first full season in the big leagues, and then was having a hard time getting a hit. Up and down the Yankee lineup, with the exception of maybe Jeter and Posada and A-Rod, just about everybody else was struggling early on this year. And there's ball 1 to Cano, hitting 7th in the order. Cano, or as Derek Jeter calls him, Canoe. Jeter has little nicknames for some of the younger Yankees as they come along. One ball, no strikes to Cano. There goes Matsui. Gotay looks at second, no play there, and he throws out Cano. And Matsui on the hit and run play moves up a base. So that brings up Melky Cabrera. Orlando Hernandez, who escaped Cuba on a small boat, a motorboat, and eventually ended up in the Bronx with the Yankees, and they found out early on that he was a big game pitcher, and he helped them win 3 consecutive World Series his first 3 seasons with the Yankees. But he has not beaten the Yankees since he left them. He is 0-3 against New York and has not won a game yet at Yankee Stadium against the Yankees. He pitched a good one here the last time he faced them in this ballpark. Last June, gave up 2 runs in 7 innings, but lost the game 2-0. Change up and a foul. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Even though you hate to lose someone like Jason Giambi because he can help you, carry the team for stretches at a time, Joe Torre says when you put Melky Cabrera in there, it adds energy and life to this lineup because he's a good outfielder, and it makes him a better defensive team as well. So he adds a lot to this ball club.
1 ball or 2 balls and a strike now to Melky Cabrera.
And these are all dangerous pitches for El Duque when he falls behind these left-handed hitters, because they can sit on something, and if they get it, they can pull it over the short right field wall. So he has to be extra careful when he get into hitters counts.
And he had a pretty good rip at that high fastball, fouling it back over the screen. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Melky Cabrera. Melky was playing very sporadically until the injury to Giambi that you're talking about, and that's when they put him out there every day. That and the fact that Johnny Damon was hurting and really was better off being a DH until his body heals. And Melky Cabrera started hitting big time once he started playing every day.
Good pitch. Nice try by Hernandez. That's what he's going to have to do. Even though he may be in a hitter's count, he's going to have to try to run something away. Let's take a look on K-zone. You can see it does tail away, and it is more than the 2 inches allowable.
3-2 the count to Cabrera. Runner at second, 1 out. Yankees ahead 2-0. And he spins one in there. Strike 3.
And that's El Duque at his best. He sets you up with the fastball away. He gets you thinking, well, he may try to run one out there again. And he throws the big curveball for strike 3. And he's going to have to throw these types of pitches, in hitters' counts or when the hitters are looking for the fastball.
So that's the second strikeout for El Duque. There's Matsui still at second, number 55, and the batter Miguel Cairo, 9th in the Yankee order, and he spins a slider over the outside for a called strike. It is 0-1. Cairo, a guy who can play just about everywhere. He's a handyman for a good team to have. He's at first base right now. There's been a lot of talk. The Yankees are talking to other teams about acquiring a first baseman, with Minkiewicz out for the year after he broke his wrist in Boston a couple of weeks ago. Now from the side with that breaking ball. Strike 2 call.
Well, the hitter's looking for the pitch to come 3/4 like the first pitch, so he drops down, and you're just looking up top so you don't pick the ball up. It wasn't that great a pitch. It was just the fact that he changed his arm slot that threw Cairo off.
0-2 the count. And he dropped down there again and missed well off the outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Roger Clemens pitched game 1 of this series on Friday and pitched well enough to win, but the Yankees could not score. And in fact, the only guy who did really anything of note for either team that night was Jose Reyes, and he managed to produce 2 runs against the Rocket. And we're going to check in with the Rocket. Peter Gammons is going to chat with him between innings from down near the Yankee clubhouse, so stay tuned for that. 2-2 the count. Johnny Damon, the leadoff man, on deck. He would be next. Orlando Hernandez. And Joe, even as a Met, Orlando Hernandez has been impressive enough to Willie Randolph and the general manager Omar Minaya that they say, hey, if we had 1 game we have to win, it'd be tough not to pitch Orlando Hernandez. The fastball along the right field side, and that one drifting back and out of play as Sean Green gave chase.
Well, Tom Glavine has really struggled lately. He's stuck on 295 victories, and he's been getting knocked around a lot lately. So that's not a tough choice between the 2 of them right at this point. And Glavine says he just can't. He feels great, but he's just not able to make the pitches that he wants at this time.
The Yankees put 7 runs on the board in only 4 innings of pitching yesterday against Glavine. 4+ innings. He worked into the 5th, never got anybody out. And another loss for Glavine. His record fell to 5-5 for the year. And he's been, as you say, stuck at 295 career victories for quite some time now. Miguel Cairo battling it out with Orlando Hernandez. 2 down. Matsui at second. Hernandez checks him. Just missing inside. That curveball started off the inside but broke back toward the plate, and Orlando Hernandez thought maybe he got the plate.
Well, let's take a look on K-Zone and see where this pitch ends up. Well, it stays off the plate inside. It broke later than normal.
Way off the inside.
Right, but it had a lot of break late, John. After it actually went past the plate, it really broke sharply back toward the plate.
That ball was hardly even in the Bronx when it passed the plate. 3-2 the count. Cal Ripken used to talk about Bert Blyleven's curveball when Blyleven had about the best curveball anybody had. Cal said if the ball looked like it was going to go behind him, he took it, because that would be inside. If it looked like it was going to hit him, then he swung at it, because that was going to be a strike. That's a pretty good curveball. 3-2 the count. That curve is whacked down the left field line. That ball is up against the wall. Gomez plays the carom. Scoring is Matsui. A stand-up double for Miguel Cairo. And a rather impressive at bat there. And the 2-out RBI hit makes it 3-0 Yankees.
Well, I talked about the fact he needs to get the ball down. Watch where this pitch is. That's a hanging breaking ball, and Cairo rips it down the left field line. The Yankees are swinging the bat so well now, you cannot afford to make mistakes against any of the Yankee hitters.
So that is just a determined, gritty at bat by a veteran, Miguel Cairo. So it's 3-0 Yankees. Another man in scoring position now as Johnny Damon comes up. As you see the huge crowd here on a warm night in the Bronx. It's all New York. This one last time in this year's Interleague play. And smashed foul down the right field line on a changeup. And the count is 0-1 to Johnny Damon. Damon was called out on strikes his first time. 3-0 Yankees in the second. Big night for the Yankees because the first place Red Sox beat the Giants again. They swept the Giants up at Fenway over the weekend. And the Red Sox, who saw so much of their lead dissipate in such a short time, from 14.5 over the Yankees, who weren't even the second place team at that point, to only 7.5 when this weekend began. The Yankees are 8.5 out now coming into play today. So that it's not like they're just right there about to move ahead of the Red Sox.
No, when you look at the Yankees, they have to be happy though, because they let Boston know that they weren't going to just roll over and die. And the most interesting thing to me is that they made up some ground so quickly. But as good as the Yankees are playing, it's still going to depend on Boston. If Boston plays well, the Yankees just aren't going to be able to make up any ground. As you mentioned, they swept the Giants this weekend. They're starting to play well. They had a tough road trip, but they're playing well again.
You saw those numbers. Very high and outside for a ball. And it is a ball and a strike. I read Peter Gammon's blog on ESPN.com yesterday, and he had an interesting point, too, about all of the ebbs and flows in a season. The Red Sox gained 7 games on the Yankees in the 2 weeks prior to these last 2 weeks where they have come roaring back. So things can happen quickly, and it's kind of crazy the way things have been happening here. This year, the Yankees have either been really good or really bad. And the question is, this really good streak that they're on now, is this the real Yankee team? They think so. And they're looking pretty strong again tonight. They lead 3-0 in the second. Cairo, the runner at second. That's a base hit for Damon. Sean Green. Cairo waved home. And a horrible throw by Green. It gives away the extra base to Johnny Damon, who goes to second as it is 4-0 Yankees. Man, what a mistake by Sean Green, missing the cutoff man and giving away an extra base.
Well, they're hitting the ball sharply off of El Duque. These are not just ground balls going through the infield. I mean, Jeter hit a ball so hard that the second baseman couldn't move. Matsui hit it so hard they couldn't move, and now Damon hits it sharply through and throw well offline. Damon was going to second base on the throw anyway because they thought that he had a shot at Matsui. I mean, Cairo trying to score, so they thought they had a shot at him, so he was going to force them to cut it off if it would have been an accurate throw.
Now Jeter, who singled his first time, starting a 2-run first inning rally. The Yankees have a thing for the deuce right now. They had a 2-run first. And that's after yesterday, where they put up 2 runs in each of 5 consecutive innings. They scored 11 runs yesterday without having any inning bigger than 2 runs. But the problem for the Mets was yesterday almost every inning was 2 runs for the Yankees, and here they come again. Willie Randolph wondering what's happening with El Duque. El Duque, who gave up a pretty good lead in L.A. in his last start, which almost never happens. And now getting lit up early by the Yankees tonight. There's a slider over the outside. Called a strike to Jeter, and I think Jeter thought that was a little too generous interpretation of the outside corner.
Well, it was a good low slider. I think, again, that's his problem. He's keeping the ball up. He's getting the ball up, and the Yankees are hitting it hard.
See Duque's numbers against L.A. on Monday. He actually had a 3-run lead in that ball game, and the Dodgers played catch-up and actually knocked him out of the box. Only the second time in his career that he had a 3-run lead and ended up the losing pitcher. Way outside. 1-2. Now that kind of a pitch, Joe, he's lacking sharpness. That pitch doesn't help him.
Well, he's making sure that he misses away with it because it was 0-2.
But there's missing away maybe 5-6 inches, and then there's missing 3 feet away.
His control is not that good right now because, as I said, he's getting the ball up too often.
1-2 the count. And strike 3. Roger Clemens standing by down by the Yankee clubhouse. He's going to visit with Peter Gammons when we come back. There they are.
Tissue, and then now I'm just working my way back and really getting some experience on the run.
Now you're really at the point where you'd be in like the last week of March in spring training. How much more are we going to see from you?
Well, I think in my legs, when you make that statement, that has to deal with my legs. I think my arm is much more advanced than that. Like I still felt good at 110 pitches. My stamina, as far as my arm is concerned, was still good, and hopefully we'll continue to get a little stronger and sharper each time out.
Chin Wong has been quoted as saying you were his idol growing up in Taiwan. How well have you gotten to know him, and what do you like about him?
Well, I've been observing a lot the last few days, and he doesn't say a lot, but Andy and I get together and kid with him, and you know, he's special. It's been fun to watch him. I told him I enjoyed his last start, and you know, I expect the same tonight.
Roger, thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, and also from up here, thanks to Roger Clemens. Let's see, Joe, they were talking about that Roger could leave the Yankees when he wasn't pitching, but here it is 2 days after he pitched. He's here. Jorge Posada, Jorge Posada, the catcher for Chien-Ming Wang, and that pitch misses to Sean Green, leading it off in the third for the New York Mets.
Well, I said this at the beginning. Roger's never going to do anything to hurt the team. I mean, I always knew that. I mean, he may be here every single day because he's never going to do anything to hurt his teammates.
Green into left field, hit well. Matsui back, he's there. Now, there's a lot of ballparks where that ball would have hit the wall or even gone over the wall. One away, and the batter Ruben Gotay. Well, we're talking about Roger Clemens, and although he lost the ball game here on Friday, he lost it 2-0 after he paid his respects to the monument of Babe Ruth out there. And he pitched well enough to have won many games. 2 runs, 7 hits, and 1 walk in 6 1/3 innings, and had 8 strikeouts in that one. But Jose Reyes was able to put together 2 runs against the Rocket for the only 2 runs in that game. The Mets won it 2-0. Reyes had a 5th inning home run against Clemens. And Reyes also, he stole 3 bases in that one and scored both of the runs.
But he had he threw him a curveball. It wasn't a hanger, but he started off with a curveball and hit the facing of the upper deck.
So Reyes showed some home run hitters type power.
Well, it was only his 3rd home run, but we know that he can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
He hit 19 last year. This is Ruben Gotay. And a foul ball. Now, Ruben Gotay, there used to be a guy, Julio Gotay, who played the big leagues. It seemed to me he was a teammate of yours for a while.
Yeah, he was. He was a good hitter, too, right-handed hitter.
But he is not Ruben Gotay's father.
No, I think he's his uncle, right?
Yeah, I think so. Uncle Julio. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ruben Gotay. Carlos Gomez on deck. In the dirt for a ball. Gotay, 24 years old. Up out of the Mets farm system. He used to be in the Kansas City Royals organization. Played in the big leagues with the Royals briefly. 2-2 the count. He's shown some power this year. He's hit 3 home runs in only 47 at bats. Facing Chien-Ming Wang. That sinker pounded on the ground, softly to second, and Cano makes a nice play. Quick sidearm flip. So 2-0, nobody on, and Carlos Gomez is up now.
Number 27.
Chien-Ming Wang from Taiwan, as you heard. Roger Clemens was one of his idols. The Yankees signed him in 2000. And he has been outstanding, winning nearly 2/3 of his starts, including a 19-victory season last year when he finished 2nd in the American League. In the Cy Young voting, Johan Santana, the Twins, beat him out. Last year was his first full season in the big leagues, and he is quite the celebrity, quite the hero in his native Taiwan. He is in the first wave of players to Major League Baseball from Taiwan. Count 1-1 to Carlos Gomez, the 21-year-old outfielder. Gomez hitting .275. He's got great speed as well. 4-0. The Yankees are leading. It's Chien-Ming Wang. Compartmentalized delivery. And a swing and a miss. One got inside on Gomez. Looked like he changed his mind right in mid-swing. 1-2. Chien-Ming Wang still goes home to Taiwan with his wife and lives in the home of his mom and dad in the offseason. Wow, the slider, that was nasty. The Mets without a hit in 3 innings against Chien-Ming. Orlando El Duque Hernandez with some scenes from his Yankees past. Tonight facing the Yankees for the New York Mets in the Subway Series. And El Duque had some great days, especially in the postseason, when he would play in what he and his half-brother Levan Hernandez call baseball de sangre, blood baseball, baseball to the death. So here is Bobby Abreu. I think there's a little hyperbole in that. There's usually no casualties, but they play it to win. Abreu flied out to right center his first time. Alex Rodriguez on deck. Jorge Posada due up third in the inning. The Yankees got shut out. When you see what's happened since Friday, they scored 11 runs yesterday, 4 in the first 2 innings tonight, including a 2-run homer by that man. You get kind of impressed with what Oliver Perez was able to do to the Yankees here on Friday. That breaking ball is hit fair down the left field line, and it kicks by Gomez. Abreu, he's going to dig for third. Here comes the throw. Teeth, a triple.
Well, Gomez made a great play in Friday's game, you know, to save a couple of runs. This ball's ripped down the line, and he tries to get there, and it bounces away from him. It hit the corner and bounces away from him, and it is scored as a triple.
And that was a pretty good throw. One hop right on the bag.
Well, they're playing the infield halfway, John. Not in enough, but not all the way back.
And A-Rod chases that sidearm slider for strike 1.
They just do not want to give up the run on anything that's hit on the ground.
Well, A-Rod hit a home run his first time, number 27 of the year. Cairo had a double in the second. Now Abreu a triple here in the third. Center field, a long run, and Beltran, the Gold Glover out there, tracked it down, but Abreu tags up and easily scores. Alex Rodriguez showed some impressive power on a pitch that didn't look that bad.
Well, it was an excellent pitch by El Duque, and that's why it stayed in the ballpark, because it was down. You know, this pitch was up, he would have hit it out of the ballpark. He drops down, throws a little slider. You can see it's right out there on the edge, and it's down. If that ball's up, he would have hit it into the bullpen. Nice play there by Beltran.
And even the way he hit that one, I think there's some parks where that would have been gone. It's big here at Yankee Stadium to center and left center. 399 to the power alley in left center, 408 to straightaway center. There's that 399 marker, which in the old days when Ruth and DiMaggio and Mantle and guys like that played here, Gehrig, Maris, it was 457 to left center. You had to hit it all the way to the bleachers to get a home run. And it was 461 to straightaway center. Posada fouls it off to the left. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One and 2 the count to Posada. Posada grounded to short his first time, and that sinker is too low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jorge Posada, and he really having an extraordinary year. He's always been a good hitter, hits his fair share of home runs, good RBI man, but we usually expect him up, you know, around 270 with a batting average. He's been among the league's leading hitters all season.
I'm always impressed with a catcher that hits late in the season, because they have to take all the wear and tear of up and down behind the plate, the heat of the summer, and in most cases they wear down.
And the curveball struck him out.
Posada's gotten off to good starts, but he's had to catch so many games under adverse conditions that he wears down before the season is over, and that's why I think he has not hit 330 or whatever, because he's capable of being a switch hitter. That's why I was always so impressed with Ivan Rodriguez hitting in Texas, playing in the heat of Texas, and catching and getting up and down behind the plate so many times. But he was able to maintain his strength throughout the season, meaning Ivan Rodriguez in the hit for a high average.
There's a called strike to Matsui. Well, maybe this is the new trend, Joe. Last year, Joe Mauer, the outstanding young catcher of the Twins, won the batting title.
Right.
Highest batting average in the league, which, if memory serves, he's the first catcher ever to do that in the American League.
Well, it works a little better for him because he's in a dome, but when you're outdoors in 100+ heat, it's a little different.
Matsui grounds out to Delgado. Top of the order for the Mets, Jose. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from the Bronx, New York. And it's all New York. The Subway Interleague Series, the New York Mets atop the National League East, the New York Yankees second place in the American League East to the Boston Red Sox. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. Happy Father's Day to you. And a called strike to Jose Reyes. Reyes is the igniter, and the Mets need some igniting right now. They're down 5-0 to the Yankees as we start the fourth. Reyes flied out to shallow left his first time. He had 4 hits in the first 2 games of the series, and he had 5 steals in those 2 games. 5 of the 10 steals that the Mets had in those games. The Mets are not hitting the long ball the way they were last year, and Willie Randolph sort of took off the shackles on some guys and said, we need to start making stuff happen here. They have been in a tailspin. And he chases that high one. 1-2 the count.
Randolph even changed the lineup around for a while, but he says you can only do that so long. You can only make guys mad enough for a little while and hope that they'll respond. And he says, but he's said the same thing Sparky Anderson used to say: if your big guys do not hit, you're going to have problems.
That high fastball is lofted foul deep down the left field line. Hit it pretty well, but foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Shin-Ming Wan showed you something there. Normally a sinker ball pitcher cannot pitch up in the strike zone. But Posada wanted that ball up. He got it up, and Reyes couldn't handle it. Normally, anytime a sinker ball pitcher gets the ball up, he's going to get hit.
1-2. Going inside. Too low on the inside. And that's the ball with sink on it at 95 miles an hour. That's why they love him here in the Bronx, and they love him in his hometown, Tainan, in the south of his native Taiwan. 2-2 the count. Inside and low. 3-2. This is the kind of at bat the Mets need here to start this inning. They've got a lot of time to effect a comeback, but this is the guy that is their chief comeback architect. The rally starter, Jose Reyes. 3-2 the count. Little tap foul. And Reyes looked a little frustrated, Joe, swinging on a pitch that looked maybe down out of the strike zone.
Well, it started above the knees. He thought it was going to be a good pitch, and the bottom falls out of it. That's why Wong's sinker is so effective. You see the target. That ball started in the strike zone, and it sunk down just barely out of the strike zone, but it had a lot of movement on it.
And K-Zone didn't think it was down out of the strike zone as far as I thought it was. 3-2 the count. Toward the middle. Jeter, not quite. Reyes with a big turn as Melky Cabrera races in to pick it up, and that's the first hit of the game for the New York Mets, and a great at bat by Reyes.
Well, he wasn't going to be able to throw him out, meaning Jeter, if he caught it anyway. Let's take a look at some of the sinkers that Wong has thrown so far. Even though that pitch is up a little bit, it's sinking so well they got on top of it. Delgado goes the other way, and that's the one that started inside, came back. Sean Green reaches out on it. Very rarely you're going to hit that ball in the air, as you see Gotay chop one. I was surprised that Green was able to get the ball in the air because that ball had a lot of movement on it. Down, it's hard to get a lot of balls in the air when he throws his sinker.
Reyes hit it on the ground, but he beats it out. Now Loduca bluffing the bunt with A-Rod playing very deep at third. Now A-Rod apparently thought that was just a bluff all the way because he never moved.
It's going to be interesting here to see how Willie Randolph plays it. You know, they've stolen a lot of bases this weekend off of the Yankees, and you got the best base stealer in the league at first base. Do you try to get them back one at a time, or do you try to play for the big inning?
What do you think?
I think you should try to let him go ahead and steal, because it changes Wong's thinking if he knows they're going to run.
That's a strike call to Loduca. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Because the problem is, if you stay at first base with Wong's sinker, you're subject to hitting a lot of double plays. And he has proven that with teams that do not run, he makes them hitting a lot of double plays.
Ball and a strike. Reyes has 37 steals to lead the major leagues. There he goes. They pitch out. Posada's thrown. They got him.
And that's a smart play there by Posada. That's a smart play. Someone from the dugout normally calls the pitch outs, and I was thinking the same thing. This would be a good time to pitch out if you want to, because Wong throws strikes. And if the point is, if you're Reyes, I thought you should have gone the first pitch or so. But once it's 1-1, they know you're going to go, and a nice tag there by Jeter.
1 out, nobody out. 2-1 the count to Loduca, and that slider snaps in there. Strike 2. Well, that's Reyes' game. Well, a lot of people say don't do it when you're down by 5.
No, I don't think that was I think he did the right thing. I just think he needed to go sooner.
So the first pitch,
yeah, should have run the second pitch. Therefore, they won't pitch out that early. But when it was 1-1, they could waste a pitch.
2-2 now with 1 out and nobody on. 3-2.
Plus, I thought it was smart of the Yankees. Even if he doesn't go here, you're also sending a message that you will pitch out. As you see, a nice tag there at second base by Cano. And yesterday's ball game, he barely missed getting Reyes on a steal. It was a very close play at second base, and he was a little disappointed he didn't get him yesterday.
Some people say you shouldn't run if you're down by 4 runs.
Well, you can't. You're early in the ball game for one thing.
Off the fist.
And that would be a double play anyway. The whole point is, when you have a single ball pitcher out there like Wong, you're going to get a lot of ground balls. So if you have a base stealer like Reyes, you go ahead and steal a base, because otherwise you're going to hit into, that's the second double play they would have hit into had Reyes stayed at first base. But the point still remains, they're not hitting a lot of home runs. The only way you're going to come back from 5-run deficits is to get 1 here, 1 there, because they're not hitting a lot of home runs as they did before. I definitely do not think it was a bad play. I think it was a bad choice on that pitch to go. But you have to give the Yankees credit for going ahead and pitching out.
Beltran. And a slider in there for a strike. We'll actually be able to ask Willie Randolph about it. Between innings, he'll be visiting with us from the Mets dugout between innings, so stay tuned for that. And another changeup. Wow, that looks pretty good.
There's another way of looking at this. If you get a runner on first base who can run, do something. Try to take Wong out of his element. I mean, he is rocking and firing now. You try to do anything you can to upset his rhythm.
Chien-Ming Wong, 2 down, nobody out. And he tries that high fastball to put him away, but Beltran took it. 1-2. Carlos Beltran. Mets need him to get going. And Delgado, too. Been a struggle. For a long while, they were winning in spite of that. Struck him out. A slider in the dirt. Some nasty pitches from Chien-Ming Wong. He and the Yankees with a 5-run lead as we head to the last of the 4th.
Duque, he seems like every time he gets the fastball up when he's behind in the count, they're hitting it hard.
Yeah, well, he's not really on all cylinders tonight. His breaking ball has been struggling a little bit early, and you know, he made a mistake to A-Rod. You can't do that, and we just kind of get in the groove. Hope he can settle down real quick and get us back in the game here.
Willie, Paul Duque out of the game. What's the story with him?
Well, he started stiffening up a little bit. Did a pretty good shot on the upper forearm, and you know, he got hit there before early in the year, so it was pretty tender. So he couldn't really swing the bat side to get him out of there.
So Dallas Perez, I mean, he was throwing the ball so well the other day. what was the reason that Oliver Perez? I'm sorry. How was he pitched? What's the reason for that? I mean, it seemed like he was just throwing the ball all fastballs when I watched the ball game.
Well, you know, he has good movement on all his stuff, and when he's around the plate and staying focused, that's the kind of game he can pitch. He's been like that on and off for this year. Joe, when he's focused, he can really pitch up games like that because he has really good stuff all over the place.
All right, thanks, Willie.
Okay, guys.
Willie Randolph, the manager of the New York Mets, live from the Mets dugout between innings. And now the Yankees up against El Duque. The high fastball fouled back out of play by Robinson Cano. There's Ramon Castro in to replace Paul Loduca behind the plate. Loduca got hit by a pitch, the first pitch he saw tonight from Chien-Ming Wang in the first inning of the game. And he got a hit pretty hard shot just above the left elbow on the that upper left arm. The ball is whacked into center field. There is Beltran. And he seemed to have that one timed, but it almost shot right over his head.
Well, it took off at the last second.
One away. Loduca in the first inning, first pitch he saw. And as Willie Randolph said, it started to stiffen up on him. And when he came out for the last of the first inning, you see it was still giving him some trouble right there. Here's Melky Cabrera for the Yankees, and that curveball bounces on the inside for a ball one. 5-0. The Yankees are on top. 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and another in the third. Alex Rodriguez is in a 2-run homer tonight. Melky with a pop fly. Shallow right center. Gotay out. There is Green, and Sean Green with the diving catch.
That was an excellent running play there by Green, because it's going to be very difficult for Gotay to make that play, because he's running with his back to the infield. And you see Green coming in, and he starts to call it right about there, and he knew he was going to be able to make the catch. Nice play. You see Gotay does the right thing. He veers off, stays out of his way.
So 2 down, nobody on, and Miguel Cairo comes up now. Cairo had an RBI double with 2 down in the second inning. Melky Cabrera, whom we just saw, and the Yankees have done so well since he's been playing every day. Peter Gammons, there's a lot that he brings to this particular Yankee mix.
Well, John, he's such an energetic guy. I mean, and he's got some experience. He can play every position. He knows how to play. And the Yankees just want someone who could, not necessarily have to go out and hit home runs, but just holds the infield together. And that's exactly what he's done.
Well, he's got that youthful exuberance on a team of a lot of hardened, grizzled veterans. And there's some energy that comes with that, too, I guess. 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count to Miguel Cairo. Robinson Cano, same thing. In fact, Cano came up a couple of years ago when the Yankees had injury problems, and he's been here ever since. Melky Cabrera last year, when both Sheffield and Matsui were down with injuries, Melky Cabrera came in, started playing every day, and he did a great job. They had 2 of their sluggers missing. He was an important man. There's Melky.
Well, the other night, Joe Torre turned to some of his coaches and said, Melky's out there where DiMaggio and Mantle once played, and he thinks he's on the playground.
Well, Melky Cabrera, not this time for him, as he was robbed by Sean Green, and now Cairo thrown out by David Wright. And we'll see David Wright. He'll be leading it off in the 5th inning. Then Carlos Delgado behind him. Is Yankee Stadium here in the Bronx, as seen courtesy of Goodyear. Get there on Silent Armor Technology. We're very pleased to have them up there, giving us those panoramic views of this great yard this year and next year. And then this ballpark will close. The house that Ruth built, they're going to move into a new house starting in 2009. David Wright against Chien-Ming Wang. Wright grounded to short his first time, and a slider that had his knees buckling. 1 ball, 1 strike. I would imagine that some aspects of Yankee Stadium will be packed up and moved right over to the new yard, such as all the retired numbers out there behind the left field wall. Ground ball, Jeter. And Wright has twice grounded out to Jeter. One away. Chien-Ming Wang on the hill for the Yankees, and he's got things well under control right now, Peter Gammons.
Well, John, talking to Jorge Posada about him, he said, you know, actually, Ramiro Mendoza may have had a better sinker, but he didn't throw it anywhere near as hard. He said, in fact, Wang's velocity has gone up a click or two in the last year. But what he also said, players love playing behind him. He works quickly, he throws strikes, he gets ground balls. Evidence, he hasn't given up an unearned run since last May.
He is a guy, the ball is almost, as Peter says, always in play. So it is kind of remarkable that there's never an unearned run against him, because you would figure that the chances of errors are greater with a pitcher who is not getting a whole lot of strikeouts every time out. 1-1 the count. The longest such streak in Major League history was by Curt Schilling. He had 69 consecutive starts without an unearned run allowed, but he's a power pitcher, a strikeout pitcher.
Well, John, Bill LaJoie was once the great Tiger general manager, now works for the Dodgers, always used to look at unearned runs of pitchers, because he said the guys who have a lot of them are guys that will get rattled and end up costing themselves a lot of games. They don't recover from teammates' mistakes.
Fastball swung out and missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chien-Ming Wang seems to be fairly unflappable. He is a guy who goes home to his native Taiwan. He and his wife moved back in with his mother and father, and most of his money gets sent home to support his parents. And he has, turns out, 2 sets of parents as he strikes out Carlos Delgado. Out number 2. So Wang continues to roll. Here's a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update now with Dave Repson.
Thank you, John. Angel Cabrera, first ever PGA Tour win. It turns out to be the U.S. Open. 37-year-old Argentine, a 69 today, beat Tiger Woods by a stroke. 4th straight foreign-born U.S. Open champ. Barry Bonds' career homer number 748 today, 7 shy of Hank Aaron's mark. Took Tim Wakefield deep. Giants lose to the Red Sox, though. Next, SportsCenter 11 Eastern, ESPN News, keeping you current.
Down the right field line by Valentin, and he's got a stand-up double. A shot right past first baseman Miguel Cairo. So Valentin with the 2-out double, only the 2nd hit for the Mets.
Let's take a look at the nationwide K's on that. Ball's up a little bit, but because he has such good sinking action on it, he still can only hit the top of it. He rips it down the line. Good hitting there by Valentin. Had a little hook on it. Cairo could not catch up with it.
On the right field line by Valentin. So Valentin gets himself into scoring position, and he is the first Met to get to second base in this game. Such has been the dominance of Chien-Ming Wang. Sean Green pops one up, and there is A-Rod. So they got a man to second for the first time, and he was only there for 1 pitch. Last of the 5th, top of the order, Damon, Jeter, Abreu. A-Rod as the Yankees bat in the last of the 5th, leading 5-0. Now a high fly ball to deep right field. Green back, looks up, goodbye. A Yankee Stadium home run into the Babe's personal home run porch. 6-0 Yankees.
Well, that's the danger that a right-hander always has here with the Yankees, because if you throw them something off speed, they can pull it, and all you have to do is hit a fly ball to right field. It's similar to Fenway Park for the right-handers. It's just a fly ball. He doesn't hit it hard. It's breaking ball, and he doesn't hit it hard, but he gets it up in the air. And with the short porch in right field, it becomes a home run.
Jeter, and that slider stays off the inside. Ball 1. Jeter has singled and scored a run, and he is struck out.
I don't think the Babe hit many like that, though. I think the Babe were probably upper decks and long drives.
So you think
Damon's checking to see if he broke his back.
You think the Babes were home runs in any park? Jeter pops that slider up, foul, and out of play, off to the right, and the count is 1-1. When the park opened in the days of Ruth and Gehrig, and then for a long time until it was remodeled and reopened in 1976. It was only 296 feet to that right field foul pole. And remember that fence out there, about, what, 3.5 feet tall? Guys would lean over that railing to catch a home run. Sometimes Frank Robinson once disappeared. He dropped into the first row of the seats after catching a fly ball out there. That railing was so low. But they moved the fence back a little bit in the remodel. But still, that's one of the friendliest home run porches you'll find. The Babe, actually, the year he hit 60 home runs, hit more of them on the road than he hit here. Jeter takes a ball, 2-2. Bobby Abreu on deck. So the Yankees have everything going their way right now. They lead 6-0. A-Rod and Damon have hit home runs now. A-Rod hit number 27, Damon number 4. And Jeter going out after that breaking ball and into the upper deck foul.
And it appeared that El Duque was getting his stuff together and doing what Willie Randolph asked for him to do, and that was to keep him in the game and give him a chance to come back.
Now at Shea Stadium, same pitch, same guy, same everything, just an easy fly ball. Shea Stadium 338 to the right field foul ball. And he sidearms that curve off the inside. It's a full count, 3-2. There's that porch down the right field line, 314. El Duque probably tell you it's a little bit less than that. So, right, we've seen Jeter take advantage of that porch down the right field line too. We've seen him do it in the World Series in some huge games. 3-2. And he fouls that one back onto the net behind the plate.
You'll see Jeter hit the ball that way a lot of times against hard throwers. But a guy like El Duque doesn't throw that hard. He's not going to go that way too often right down the line.
Jeter, he's not a big home run hitter, but he's hit 187 of them. Strike 3 call. But Jeter, he didn't think so. He gets rung up by Mike Winters.
Well, let's take a look on the Nationwide K-Zone, but I thought it was an excellent pitch. He threw him a lot of sliders, and then all of a sudden he drops down and throws a fastball. Yeah, that's a good pitch. I thought it was when I saw it live, but Jeter thought it was low and away.
Well, what K-Zone drives home right there, it's where it is when it reaches the plate, not where the catcher catches it. By that time, it was too low, but it reached the plate. It was in there. The curveball too low to Bobby Abreu. Abreu is flied out to right center and hit a triple. The New York Mets won 2 out of 3 from the Yankees a month ago at Shea Stadium. In fact, the Yankees captured a win on Sunday Night Baseball, and Abreu hit by that pitch. High and tight. What do you think, Joe? Loduca got hit early on in this one.
Well, I don't know if you'd hit someone with A-Rod coming up next. But
hit somebody down hitting 8th
yeah.
and 9th.
Well, you got A-Rod coming up. It's kind of hard to put a runner on in front of him, but it's a high fastball in. But I think the thing that I'm amazed of, see, he really doesn't try to get out of the way. I mean, if he falls back, he could get out of the way, but you know, it's easier said than done. It's easy to say that from up here, but.
Well, he's having a laugh with Carlos Delgado, which was nice to see. Here's Alex Rodriguez with a runner at first and breaking ball outside. This is the last meeting of the year between the clubs. Alex Rodriguez launched one his first time. His spectacular moonshot. They used to call those Ruthian clouts. The guys hit the long one in Yankee Stadium. And back to the bag is Abreu. If I was Abreu, I might have taken that personally, getting hit by that pitch, especially since it was coming right toward my chin. But Abreu, he didn't start shouting. He didn't advance toward the mound. He went to first, and then a moment later, he was having a laugh with Carlos Delgado. And he's back to the bag. 1 ball and no strikes to count to Alex Rodriguez. And the Mets bullpen, Schoenweiss, the left-hander Scott Schoenweiss, has started to throw now here in the 5th. Tom Glavine did not last long yesterday afternoon. Misses for ball 2. I saw a bunch of camera flashes going off as that pitch came into A-Rod. A-Rod is on pace to hit more than 60 home runs this year. So some Yankee fans apparently want to record some of A-Rod just in case he does something truly historic this year with this great start that he's had. And again, a lot of camera flashes go off as that pitch misses high. 3-0. A-Rod has also risen to the occasion under the bright lights of Sunday Night Baseball. He now has hit a home run in each of his last 3 appearances on Sunday night, including that game winner against the Red Sox 2 weeks ago against Jonathan Papelbon. And this time he gets a walk. That home run 2 weeks ago tonight. And Joe, at the top of the telecast, you said maybe this was the turning point of the year for the Yankees.
Well, they needed to win that ball game because of the 2-game swing in the loss column. If they were going to, in the standings, so they needed to win that ball game. If they'd have lost that ball game, they would have been hurting. And I really think that was a big, big blow. And they weren't about to score off Papelbon other than the home run.
Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, out to talk to El Duque. 2 men on, only 1 man out. Here in the 5th with Jorge Posada coming up and Sean Weiss getting ready in the bullpen. That home run at Fenway 2 weeks ago broke a 5-5 tie and gave the Yankees the win in that game and in that series. They've been winning pretty steadily ever since. Here's the Lowe's home team advantage. And when you're talking interleague games for the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, the Yankees always seem to have the advantage. They've won 18 of the last 19 interleague series here at Yankee Stadium. The only one they lost was 2 years ago, and the Mets took 2 out of 3 from them. Peterson back in the dugout. There are the runners. Abreu at second. Rodriguez at first. And he drops that curveball in there for a strike to Posada. Posada grounded to short and struck out, hitting .344 for the year. His old battery mate. These 2 guys made some beautiful music. A lot of Yankee wins. Del Duque throwing and Jorge catching. Off the end of the bat over to the Mets dugout. 0-2. Well, with 1 out, he hit Abreu. Then he walked Alex Rodriguez. And he's in trouble. All of that came just a couple of batters after Johnny Damon hit a home run. The Yankees lead 6-0 as El Duque, who has never beaten the Yankees since leaving them, and it's not looking good for him to win this one. Off the outside, his 87th pitch, and the count is 1-2. Hideki Matsui is on deck.
I mean, the Yankees are knocking him around a little bit, but some other team without the offensive power that the Yankees have, I mean, he could actually be pitching a pretty good ball game. He hasn't made that many mistakes, but every time he makes a mistake, the Yankees make him pay for it.
Slider is up and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Jorge Posada. Matsui on deck. And the left-hander, Sean Weiss, getting ready in the Mets bullpen. So El Duque may not be long for this game. Lee Randolph looking on from the Mets dugout. El Duque has been excellent this year when he's been healthy for the most part. He got that one by him. Strike 3. Out number 2.
Well, he has 6 strikeouts so far in this ball game.
6, and he will not get any more than that because here comes Willie Randolph. So that's going to be it. El Duque, 4 2/3 innings with 2 men on and 2 men out. Matsui, the left-handed hitter, coming up. The left-hander Sean Weiss will be brought in from the Mets bullpen. 6-0 Yankees. El Duque leaves to a round of applause. Disappointing night for Orlando Hernandez, who nonetheless got a very warm ovation from the fans here at Yankee Stadium, who still apparently remember him fondly from those great days when the Yankees were winning World Series year after year. He gives way here to Scott Schoenweiss, the veteran lefty. And Blue Jays and also Cincinnati before becoming a Met this year. It has not been a good year for him. He pitched here yesterday, gave up an unearned run, and also allowed a run to score against Tom Glavine's record. It's been a struggle for him from the start of the season and right up till today. He inherits 2 runners here, and the Mets have been having to use that bullpen more and more as they have been slumping, and the bullpen has not responded well. Matsui, who has singled and scored a run and grounded out, comes up with 2 men on and 2 men out. 0-1. He foul tipped that high fastball. The Mets bullpen, when the year began, they were doing extremely well, but in June it has been a very poor thing to see. Next to last in the league in runs allowed in June, and look at that earned run average, almost 7. They've given up 6 home runs out of the bullpen this month. 2 men on. Abreu at second, A-Rod at first. On the outside corner, strike 2. Sean Weiss was brought in to give them that kind of lefty-righty flexibility. He's one of 3 lefties currently in the bullpen now.
You never can tell whether Matsui thought a pitch was a strike or a ball because he never argues. He just takes the pitch and waits for the next one.
And the plate umpire says he swung at that one. Matsui tried to check his swing, and I think he thought he had, but Mike Winters said no. Big city, New York. It's all New York tonight. The Subway Series, and so far it's been all Yankees. They lead 6-0 over the Mets in the rubber match of this series. The Yankees need a win to finish up this year's series in the Mets even. Mets won the first 2 games at Shea. Also won the first game here on Friday in this weekend series as Ruben Gotay. It's a foul. The count is 0-2 to him.
When I watched Oliver Perez pitch against Roger Clemens the other day, it was a great game. And I actually felt like the Yankees had the wrong guys up at the wrong time, so to speak. They had runners in scoring position, first and second, no one out. But they're at the bottom of the order.
Strike 3 call. Retired by Chin Ming Wong.
And they made a couple of base running mistakes. Matsui got doubled off on a fly ball in left field. So I thought Perez pitched great. Roger Clemens pitched even better, but he could have easily come away with a victory, meaning Roger, that day, because he pitched well enough if the Yankees were scoring runs at their usual pace. But Perez pitched awfully well. He was just wild enough. He stayed just in and out of the strike zone just enough to stay ahead of the Yankees.
I think you have to give General Manager Omar Minaya a lot of credit on Oliver Perez.
Yeah.
The Mets had a need. They had injury problems. Pedro Martinez, their ace right-hander, went down with an injury last year and is still out. But Oliver Perez was a guy that was struggling terribly. So the Mets said, well, this guy's been good in the past. Maybe Rick Peterson can help him find that magic. And he ended up in a year where he was 3-13. He was the one who started Game 7 in the League Championship Series against the Cardinals, and he pitched extremely well. Pitched well enough to have won that game. He's got a 2.93 earned run average this year. He's very close to what he was about 3 years ago with the Pirates when he was one of the top left-handers in the National League. So they took a chance with him. And so far he's been paying off big time as Carlos Gomez now has a count of 3-0.
And it's interesting because as good as Wong has pitched since he's been back from disabled list, Andy Pettitte has been their most consistent pitcher, for the Yankees this year, and his record's only 4-4. He lost a lot of ball games because they were not scoring runs.
He lost games and some he didn't get a win where he deserved to win in a no decision as Gomez gets a walk as Andy Pettitte is only 4-4 and he's got a 2.93 ERA.
And when I talked to Joe Torre, he said, man, he's been excellent all year.
Here's Andy back in New York, as is Roger Clemens, 2 former Houston Astros. Andy Pettitte, you see his numbers for the year. 1 out, 1 on, and leadoff man Jose Reyes now to try and get something going here for the Mets against Chin Ming Wong. And that's up and away for ball 1. Reyes has flied out to shallow left, and then he hit a single off the glove of Derek Jeter and into shallow center his last time, hitting .320 for the year. 24-year-old Jose Reyes. He just turned 24 last Monday.
And the question is always asked, who's the best shortstop in New York now that he is coming into his own, comparing him to Jeter. I don't think it's fair to compare him to Jeter because Jeter's been here, done that, and he's won championships. But if you look at their records after the first 500 games of their career, they're very, very similar. And I actually feel like if he reaches his full potential, he may be the best shortstop, in the history of New York. But Derek Jeter has already done those things, so I still think the edge goes to Jeter by a pretty big margin.
Cairo to second one. Jeter back to first. In the dirt, pulled out by Cairo, and Reyes has grounded into an inning-ending double play. Not easy to do against the speedy Reyes. 6-0, the Yankees, to support the awareness of prostate cancer and to help raise funds for prostate cancer research. The disease strikes 1 in 6 American men. And all games around baseball today and tonight having not only the 7th inning stretch, but a 6th inning stretch as well, which they have been observing here at Yankee Stadium. MLB.com has more information on how you can support baseball's initiatives for the ongoing fight against prostate cancer. Major League Baseball and Gillette are proud supporters of the Prostate Cancer Foundation. Log on to prostatecancerfoundation.org for more information on how you can help. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, along with Peter Gammons. Happy Father's Day again, Joe.
Same to you, John.
I know your dad was a very important man in your life.
Yes, he was.
And my dad, looking in tonight from Redding, California. Robinson Cano, so happy Father's Day to my dad as well.
And I second that.
You think he did a pretty good job, do you?
Well, I didn't say all that now.
Schoenweiss just missed it. And the throw by the second baseman Gotay is too late to get Robinson Cano. Wow, what happened to Schoenweiss? Did he lose a ground ball in the lights?
Well, Cano is happy. It's a base hit for him. And he did not have a base hit. It's a high chopper. I mean, you're right. He just missed it because he was high enough to catch it, but he missed it off to the side. And watch, the ball is not higher than his glove. It's just off to the side. In fact, he gets a little leather on it, but he wasn't able to control it.
It's almost like the ball was hit a little too slowly for him.
John, I want to finish my point about the shortstops, and that is, Jose Reyes and Derek Jeter. You talk to both of them, and there's no competition. But guess what? There is a friendly competition because to be a great player, you have to have an ego. And that ego has to say, I want to be the best shortstop on the field today. Every day. Every day you go out there. And this series started, Jose Reyes showed what he was made of. He helped win the game against Roger Clemens on Friday night. Yesterday, it was Jeter's turn. Jeter bounced back, had a great game yesterday, 4 hits and 5 at-bats. So they're not competing against each other, but there is a friendly rivalry going on there. You always want to be the best player in the field at your position.
Jeter had 4 hits yesterday, 2 runs batted in, and he stole a base for good measure. Their first career 500 games, that's where Reyes is right now. And you can see Jeter had more walks and a higher batting average, and a lot more stolen bases for Reyes.
And Jeter also has 4 rings.
A lot more rings.
Yeah, that helps too. That's why I said we say whatever we want, but he has the intangible things, and that's helping winning a championship, with the Yankees. And one of these days, maybe Reyes will do the same thing. But Reyes has so much untapped potential. And like you say, it's just fun to watch. And Jeter is just the ultimate professional.
Melky Cabrera at the plate, runner at first, and there's a ball outside from Schoenweiss. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cabrera, who is 0 for 2. Cano, the runner at first. The Yanks lead 6-0, and the Mets bullpen is busy again. There is Aaron Heilman, the right-hander, a sinker baller, getting ready. Reach for and foul up the first base side. There's so many great shortstops here in New York. there are not enough teams to go around. Because there are 3 great shortstops currently playing in New York. Jose Reyes of the Mets, Derek Jeter of the Yankees, and Alex Rodriguez.
Right.
Who, to play in New York, doesn't play shortstop. There's no room for him.
Well, it's a question like Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, right? Who is the best center fielder in New York?
At least in those days, they had 3 teams for those 3 great center fielders. Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Duke Snider, all in the Hall of Fame, and they all played center field in the same city at the same time. That one back into the crowd. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Melky Cabrera. Miguel Cairo is on deck. The Yankees out in front here, 6-0. Derek Jeter, when you look at how many hits he's had already, it kind of reminds me of an old teammate of yours, Pete Rose.
Well, he doesn't walk a lot, and they're both aggressive. We're both aggressive hitters. Pete was a very aggressive hitter.
Left field, that's Carlos Gomez waiting for it, and that is out number 1. Pete Rose more hits than anybody, and because he didn't walk a lot, he was up there and he swung that bat. And Derek Jeter is getting a lot of hits too, Joe, and he's got more at this stage of his career than Pete Rose had.
Well, what surprises me more about Jeter is that he doesn't have that long hitting streak. You know, we saw Pete, have a lot of long hitting streaks. Jeter gets hits all the time, and then he'll maybe miss a game, then he goes 10 more games. But it's surprising because he doesn't walk a lot and he swings the bat so well. I would think that he would have longer, hitting streaks throughout his career.
Derek Jeter has 2,242 hits.
That's a long way from 4192, but it's a good start.
Well, he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, but it's a very good start.
His first full year in the big leagues, 1996, so this is his 12th year in the big leagues. And that's a fastball on the inside to Miguel Cairo. Derek Jeter is, at this stage of his career, 32 years old. So the question is he going to be able to stay healthy? Is he going to be able to keep it going? But Pete Rose played well into his 40s.
Yeah, well, you're talking about a guy that's got 12 years with that number of hits. Will he be able to get that number of hits in 12 more years is the question.
Gotay steps in bag 1, and that's a double play. 1 hit, nobody left. On to the 7th. And we'll see Beltran and Wright, some power coming up for the Mets. Monday Night Baseball from Yankee Stadium, New York. The New York Mets, the New York Yankees, interleague play. Chien-Ming Wong has been ace-like tonight, and there's a swinging strike on a slider to Ramon Castro, his first at bat after replacing Paul Oduka, who left with a contusion of his left tricep. He got hit there in the first inning with a pitch. Castro followed by Carlos Beltran and then David Wright. 6-0. The Yankees are leading, and that's a strike call to the outside. 0-2. We were talking about Derek Jeter in relation to Pete Rose. Jeter, who gets a lot of hits, and he's got 2,242 already at age 32. And that's more than Pete Rose had at that stage of his career. And Peter Gammons also is here to weigh in on that discussion. Peter?
Well, I think it's astounding, John. If you take the number of games that Jeter has played at the same point in Pete Rose's career, you can see that he has 37 more hits. Jeter's going to end this season at the age of 32. Pete Rose ended the 73 season at the age of 32. Jeter will have almost 200 more hits than Rose had at that point.
And that's forecasting assuming he stays healthy, which he has pretty much been able to do up till now in his career. 2-2 the count to Ramon Castro. Strike 3 call. Chien-Ming Wong continues to roll. That's his 6th strikeout of the game.
And John, that's unusual because he has one of the lowest strikeout ratios for 9 innings of any pitcher in baseball. He averages 4 strikeouts a game, and that's 90th among the 99 pitchers who qualify for that number of innings. So he doesn't strike out a lot, but he seems to be definitely on his game. And I think he's going to strike out more as the season progresses because he's using the slider a lot more, and that's added to his toughness out there as far as getting hitters out, especially the right-handed hitters. That slider is devastating. And we know about the sinker.
And Carlos Beltran is thrown out. The ground ball. The sinker also working for Chin-Ming Wong. Peter, we were getting a message through the back channels there that you have an amendment on that Derek Jeter age.
Well, yes, Jeter will be 33 on June 26th. Pete Rose, there's very little difference in the age, though. I mean, to me, it's just astounding, and I agree with you. Staying healthy is going to be very difficult. But to be at that point in his career and have more hits in the same number of games as Rose, to me, I think it's almost unimaginable.
And Rose, I mean, it's hard to compare him as players. Rose was a switch hitter. He played all over the field.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing. How long can Jeter play shortstop, you know, at a high level, and would he move to another position? But then again, you're in the American League, you have the DH, or maybe, you know, he could play first base later in his career. That's what Pete Rose did. He ended up playing a lot of first base his last few years.
David Wright hits a foul ball. I mean, Rose played second base at the start of his career. He played third base. He played left field, right field. And as you say, a lot of first base. And he was a guy, you didn't have to just say, well, Pete, this year you're just going to be at this position. I mean, from one game to the other, he might move on occasion. Jeter has always been the Yankee shortstop ever since he arrived. 2 down. David Wright is twice grounded out to short. This one he punches foul off the right field line. So, Peter, can Derek Jeter, can he reach 4,000 hits? Could he threaten Pete Rose's record?
Well, I think there's the possibility, because I think that in talking to Yankee people, they expect that somewhere down the line he's going to end up playing first base, and that may extend his career if he wants to do it.
And the slider in the dirt for a ball. In the American League, only Ichiro at the start of this day had more hits than Jeter. And Matt Holliday of Colorado in the National League has had more hits than Jeter. So he gets a lot of hits, and he's pretty comfortable hitting up around 330, 340 during a season. A la Pete Rose. That was a swing and a miss, not a foul ball. And Wright will reach first base. A swing and a miss. The ball has to be caught by the catcher for it to be an out on strike 3. And that one got away from Posada, and Wright ends up at first base on the 7th strikeout for Wong.
Well, it's a wild pitch. The ball bounces in front, and Wright swung at it anyway. But Posada tried to block it, and it bounces away. It hits off the heel of his glove and bounces away, and no chance for him to chase it down and throw Wright out before he gets to first base.
So that keeps the inning going. That's the 7th strikeout for Wong, which is a season's high for him. The most strikeouts he's had in a game this year.
And when he was just relying strictly on the sinker and the change, he wasn't going to get that many strikeouts. But again, I think the slider is the key pitch for him. And Joe Torre said he's getting better each time he goes out there. The slider's getting better.
Carlos Delgado is grounded out and struck out. Very high for ball 1. Only the 78th pitch of the night thrown by Wong. And now Posada didn't like something there, and he's out to talk to Chin-Ming Wong.
Well, John, if you have a dominant pitch, he has a great sinker. Some guy that has a great curveball. What that does is it makes your other pitches better, because everyone has to look for those pitches. And what's happening with Wong is they're looking for the sinker. He's throwing more sliders, more changeups, and they're not able to adjust.
Wong, with his season's high in strikeouts, he is not allowed to run. He's only allowed 2 hits to the Mets. Changeup, strike. It's a ball and a strike now to Carlos Delgado.
See, normally he would throw a fastball in that situation, his good sinker, but now he has confidence in his other pitches, and he's using them.
Wong does not often allow home runs. This stuff just prevents that most often. But that's a solid base hit, a line drive. It will go to the wall. Abreu plays the carry. Wright is going to be waved around third. Cano's relay offline, and Wright scores all the way from first. on the double by Delgado, the first run of the night for the New York Mets.
The one thing you notice when you're around the Mets today, even though they've struggled a little bit in the last couple of weeks, their confidence level is still high. They're still relaxed. You know, they'd lost 10 of their last 12 ball games. But I talked to Delgado before the game, and he was so relaxed. He said, hey, man, we're all right, and I'm okay. And even though he's been struggling, not up to the standards that he set for himself, but he said his wrist was fine, so it wasn't a health issue. It's just a matter of getting his timing down and getting things going.
He got off to a very slow start. Then he, in early May, started hitting some home runs, but then down into a slump again as Valentine takes ball 1 too low. So the Mets fans in attendance at Yankee start to make some noise. Valentine doubled his last time. So a 2-out strikeout that wasn't an out. David Wright reached on the strikeout on the wild pitch, and Delgado has knocked him in.
And you see Posada told him to slow up. I think one of the most underrated things about Posada is the way that he handles these pitchers and his pitching staff. I think he does a fabulous job of getting the most out of the pitchers that they have here.
Ron Guidry out to talk to him now. Guidry, who was a great Yankee pitcher, a 25-game winner the year that they came from 14 games out in 1978. The All-Star Game is just a few weeks away now, and the night before the All-Star Game, a great night of All-Star programming on ESPN, the Home Run Derby, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern, and then the first edition of The Bronx is Burning, which goes back to dramatize the real-life events around that Yankee team in 1977, and then the Taco Bell All-Star Legends and Celebrity Softball Game will finish the night. It'll be on Monday night, July the 9th.
And John, I was talking about how Posada, you know, handled his pitchers, and it was never more prevalent than what we saw with Clippard that day when he pitched against the Mets in Shea Stadium. He handled Clippard perfectly in his first big league start.
Clippard with the Yankees really ailing. They'd lost the first 2 games of that series. They were struggling big time. And Tyler Clippard, in his major league debut, beat the Mets. And a pop-up by Valentine. Alex Rodriguez, there's not much foul room over there. Can't go in and get it.
And if you're Valentine, you're not going to get a better pitch to hit than that last pitch. That was a fastball pretty much in the middle of the plate. He was a little late on it. Wong's stuff usually drops and sinks sharply. This pitch just stays right there, and he fouls it off. Watch where this pitch ends up. Pretty much in the middle of the plate, right in the middle, right there. You're not going to get a better pitch to hit against Wong than that. So now you could be in trouble, because if he makes a good pitch, you're definitely in trouble.
And the big crowd, many rise to their feet now, offering support for Chien-Ming Wong. And right there is Cano.
Man.
Hit hard, but right at it. 1 run for the Mets. Middle of the 7th inning. 6-1. The Yankees are leading the top of the order coming up. In fact, there goes one right now. Just outside Yankee Stadium, where the Yankees lead the Mets 6-1 as we head to the last half of the 7th inning. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. 29 years ago tonight was a great night at Yankee Stadium, among so many great days at night here. Ron Guidry, now the pitching coach. That was the night he was dubbed Louisiana Lightning. Watch these strikeouts mount up against some pretty good hitters with the Angels. He struck out 18 of them when it was all over with. Thurman Munson, the catcher. Chris Chambliss, the first baseman, and one of his fellow aces, Tommy John, came out to shake his hand afterward. That set a Yankee record and remains to this day the Yankees' single-game strikeout record. Ron Guidry, and that was the year. Guidry was 25-3 that season, and that is a ball too low from the Mets reliever Aaron Heilman in to pitch. There's Ron Guidry, 25-3 that year, including that final game with the Red Sox, the playoff game, the 1-game playoff. The Yankees, who were down 14 games to the Red Sox, July the 19th, came back and ended up winning the division, and they ended up in the World Series that year. Can they do something similar this year? They were 8.5 behind the Red Sox at the start of this game, but they were 14.5 back of Boston 2.5 weeks ago. The Lowe's home team advantage, and his numbers that night. That gives any team an advantage, home or road. 9 innings, he gave up just 4 hits, had 2 walks, 18 strikeouts. Apparently 15 of them were the first 6 innings. And Phil Rizzuto, the Hall of Fame shortstop, who was a longtime broadcaster for the Yankees when his career ended, that night he dubbed him Louisiana Lightning. The nickname stuck. Johnny Damon hit a home run his last time. He's also had an RBI single. 2 for 3, 2 batted in for Damon. Ooh, nice play by Gotay. His body was saying, get out of here. And the glove stuck up there and made the play.
No, that's just good hand-eye coordination, good reaction there. Because he got a high hop, which makes it easier, but you got to be very quick to be able to snatch it out of the air. Gives you a little smile. And watch, it's a hot, bounces up. Now it's just more of a reaction. But a nice play by Gotay.
So is that the way you did it at second base?
No, I was below that. I stayed below that level.
You mean you started below it?
Yeah, stayed there.
Because he kept the glove there, and the rest of his body was just saying, just what are you doing still here? Now Derek Jeter, 1 hit tonight. He is singled and twice struck out. Hello. And Jeter does kind of dive in toward the plate a little bit.
Well, he definitely dives in, but he can get out of the way, as we saw there. You know, we've seen 2 guys hit tonight, and they haven't been able to, you know, get back out. But again, it's easy to say from up here to get out of the way. But we saw that ball tailing in on Jeter, and he was able to avoid being hit.
He's been hit 6 times this year. Alex Rodriguez has been hit 9 times. That one ran in again. Maybe what Heilman was trying to do with that first pitch. Jeter fouls it off to the right. Aaron Heilman, and when the season began, we were counting on him to be a late inning setup man. But he too has slumped a little bit. His earned run average up to 3.86. Although he's been tough to hit. Hitters with a 207 collective batting average against him. Right to his feet. He just got him. What a play.
Well, not only that, I mean, to throw it across the diamond from that deep behind the bag, that accurately without having the time to straighten yourself up and take your time. Now look how deep he is. He goes down the line. Now he doesn't have time because Jeter runs quickly down the line. And he doesn't have time to size up the throw. He just has to get rid of it. And a good strong arm nips Jeter at first base.
Just barely got him. Nice play by David Wright. Jeter, you know, I thought Jeter maybe just might, if he could stay healthy, close in on Pete Rose. But now I'm thinking, it can't happen.
John, I was telling you about the fact that I was surprised he didn't have longer hitting streaks. Well, I want to congratulate Brandon Watson, who is playing in International League. He set an International League record today with his 43rd consecutive game hitting streak. It was a record that has been standing for 95 years. He's a kid that plays in the Washington Nationals AAA team. Actually, I had a chance to see him work out this winter, and he has a lot of skills.
Brandon Watson.
He had a 43-game hitting streak. He extended it today to 43. He tied the record yesterday.
So you mean it's still going?
Yeah, he tied the record yesterday at 42. It was a 95-year-old record, and then he broke the record today.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Bobby Abreu with a count of 2-1. The Yankee bullpen is busy. There is, well, Andy Pettit is just getting some work in, I'm guessing, Joe.
Although we did see him come in a game in Boston. That was a tie game.
Back in April.
Yeah, well, that was a tie ball game.
Well, that's when they were having a hard time having any pitcher go more than 3 innings. Right? The starting pitchers were knocked out by the 4th or 5th inning every night. And especially that weekend in Boston, they were getting beat up. And Pettit, it was his night to throw on the side. And so he said, well, I'll throw later. And Joe Torre used him for an inning. Abreu, Delgado, the unassisted out, and A-Rod stranded on deck. Now to the 8th inning. Sean Green coming up for the Mets. 6-1 Yankees on Silent Armor Technology. John Miller, Joe Morgan, Peter Gammons with you from Yankee Stadium. 6-1. The Yankees lead the Mets. As Chen Ming Wong back for the 8th inning facing Sean Green.
And John, we've talked about, the troubles that the Mets have had, in their bullpen, etc. But their offense, and Moises Alou, who is really making a good contribution to this ball club, he's been out for 3 weeks. And they don't know exactly when they're going to get him back. So, I mean, he was a big part of their offense. And to lose a guy like that, especially when Delgado wasn't hitting as well as he has been, or Beltran, it's really taken a toll on this ball club. And then Sean Green was out for a while, and he was hot before he was out. So they've had some injuries that have, hurt them immensely, Sean Green and Moises Alou.
And Valentin, the guy who hit 24 homers last year, he missed what, a month and a half or so. 1-2 the count to Sean Green. That's why I'm thinking of asking Peter Gammons, because he's got his finger on the pulse of all the trade winds that seem to be blowing. If the Mets are liable to make a trade here, as Green just got a piece of that one, foul tipping it.
And John, we also forgot Endy Chavez. I mean, he was really playing well.
Yeah, he's out right now. Real valuable member of this ball club. But Peter, what are you hearing about the Mets?
Well, John, I think I'm told that Omar Minaya is one of the most proactive general managers going. He clearly wants a starting pitcher first. He's talked to Kenny Williams about Mark Burley. Kenny hasn't made up his mind yet, but I do think something could happen between those two teams, because they can trade lasting knowledge with Carlos Gomez here and Fernando Martinez in Double-A.
So they got some prospects that teams desire.
Absolutely. And now they've also talked to the Astros a little bit about Brad Lidge, but it's awfully hard to put together enough young players to be able to get 2 experienced pitchers. It's just not where the market's going.
So he's apparently a little concerned about what's happening with his bullpen then, too, if he's talking about Brad Lidge.
Absolutely. Brad Lidge is very close to Billy Wagner. Of course, he's set up for Billy in Houston, and Billy has really been pushing for that.
8 strikeouts for Chen Ming Wong as he gets Sean Green, and now Ruben Gotay takes the ball inside. 1 ball and no strikes to Gotay, who is 0 for 2 in the game. The 8 strikeouts for Wong ties his career record in that category. He has been superb tonight. So the Mets talking trade, and the Yankees, ever since Minkiewicz went down, and maybe even before, because Minkiewicz was not hitting a whole lot, they've been talking about the Yankees in search of a first baseman, as Gotay has a base hit to left field. And hold that thought, Peter, but right now here's a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update with Dave Revson.
Thank you, John. Angel Cabrera's first ever PGA Tour win, the U.S. Open. The 37-year-old Argentine, a 69 today, beat Tiger by a stroke, becomes the 4th straight foreign-born U.S. Open champ. Barry Bonds, career homer number 748. He's 7 shy of Hank Aaron's mark. Took Tim Wakefield deep in the Giants' loss to the Red Sox. Next, SportsCenter after the game. ESPN News always keeps you current.
Thank you, Dave. Back here at Yankee Stadium, Chen Ming Wong center stage, and he has been fabulous. Just shutting down the Mets. They have only 4 hits against him. He's tied his career best with 8 strikeouts. And he's got a man aboard with 1 out here in the 8th. And Carlos Gomez, one of those young Mets prospects with so much talent. At the plate, Gomez has struck out and walked. We were talking to Peter Gammons about the trade winds that or rumors of saying that are blowing across the major league landscape. And Peter, what about the Yankees? Anything going on that you've heard?
Not very much right now that's hot. I mean, they eventually may go get another first baseman. I think you'll also probably see them go get another relief pitcher. But I think Brian Cashman's going to wait until the All-Star break to see what he do. He has built up a very good stockpile of young pitching, particularly at the Double-A level, with one of the best rotations in all the minor leagues. So they will have pitchers to trade, young pitchers, come the All-Star break.
Here's Brian Cashman, the Yankee general manager. He was embattled when the Yankees were playing so poorly just 2.5 weeks ago. George Steinbrenner made a comment that he was out there on a very large hook in terms of his job security. There's a foul. And we got a chance to see Gomez run right there, and he has speed.
You know, you were talking about Cashman and Steinbrenner's. If you're the general manager, you want that. You don't mind. I mean, it's your team. If you're given a chance to, you know, make all the final decisions, you have to live with that. And you have to accept the fact, yeah, I'm on the hook, because you are on the hook, because you're making those decisions. But and that should be what you want as a general manager. I think every general manager is on the hook. But with George, you may be on a bigger hook, but you're still on the hook.
Yeah. He's had some success, but how long has that been?
Yeah. But no, I think his motives were in the right place at the beginning. He was trying to save the guys in the minor leagues. He wasn't going to give those up. But, you know, a lot of things are going to change. And, I mean, you have to – the real reason you have minor league players is to help your big league team.
On the fists, and that came down and hit him on the foot, the foul ball. 1-2 the count. I say foot or leg somewhere.
My point is, if the right trade is out there and you have to give up something in the minor leagues, then you give it up, because there's no cinch that minor league pitchers are going to be big league stars one day. I mean, it's not a cinch. But if you can get a guy that can help you win the World Championship that particular year, you know, especially if you're the Yankees, because they're built for that. That's what they're trying to win every single year.
Yeah, you don't sign a 44-year-old pitcher,
right,
if you're not expected to win right now. The Rocket in the dugout watching this one. Got to be pretty impressed with what he's seeing from Chien-Ming Wang. Now, no pitch there. Timeout was granted just before he threw it. Mike Winters, the home plate umpire, signaling timeout. 1-2 the count to Carlos Gomez, the leadoff man. Jose Reyes on deck. Go tie at first. Gomez tried to get aboard here. The Mets need a lot of base runners, down by 5. And he just got a piece of that one. Well, one trade, classic example, a team that was trying to win right now, the Detroit Tigers, back in the late 80s. And they had a veteran team. Sparky Anderson was the manager. And they needed a starting pitcher, an experienced starting pitcher, and they traded for Doyle Alexander from Atlanta. But one of the guys they gave up in that deal was named John Smoltz.
But Alexander went something like 10-1.
He was 11-0.
Yeah, so he helped them when, you know, he did his job.
They would not have gotten to the postseason without Doyle Alexander. It was a great trade, but it worked out pretty well for Atlanta because they were in a rebuilding mode at that time. Gomez is down on strikes, and the strikeout total continues to mount here from Taiwan Lightning.
Well, again, this wasn't the slider, but the slider, in my opinion, is the reason that he is striking out so many hitters. That's the sinker. But the slider is the reason that he's having that success, because they have to look. They're looking for the fastball, and then when he throws the slider, they're dead, and then they have to start looking for the slider, and then his fastball's by them. Gives them one more problem that they have to deal with.
Here's Jose Reyes. He is 1 for 3. Switch hitter, runner at first, and that's ball 1. So I take it you don't feel that Taiwan Lightning has that ring to it like Louisiana Lightning?
No, a little different process in the way they get it done.
All right, well, I'm going to work. See, I didn't have much time to think of one, Joey. I didn't know he was such a strikeout pitcher.
He didn't either.
He'd never had this many in a big league game. This is his career record. 2-0 the count, and that was his 100th pitch of the night. Chien-Ming Wang. Chien-Ming Wang, who was raised by what he thought were his parents, and he still to this day calls them his mom and dad. But he found out later that they were not actually his birth parents. The people who were his birth parents, he thought were his aunt and uncle. They gave him up for adoption when he was an infant. But I think you found out a lot about Chien-Ming Wang when he found out what the truth of the matter was. He said that it was not upsetting to him because he liked the other people too. And now, with his big league salary, he helped support both sets of parents. The changeup. And that had Reyes almost screwing himself into the ground. And they're up the way they used to be up for Guidry with 2 strikes. Too low with a sinker at 95 miles an hour on his 103rd pitch of the game. 3-2. Ramon Castro, the catcher, would be next. Ruben Gotay at first base will be running. First baseman Cairo plays behind him. Everybody standing at Yankee Stadium. Chien-Ming Wang, 3-2 the count. The runner goes. He struck him out. And in the 8th inning, he strikes out the side and reaches double figures. A 10 strikeout game for Chien-Ming Wang. Sunday night baseball from New York. The New York Mets trailing the New York Yankees 6-1 as Alex Rodriguez takes a little bit low on a changeup from the Mets reliever Aaron Heilman. Alex Rodriguez started the scoring tonight with a booming home run to straightaway left field in the back of the visitors bullpen. His 27th homer of the year. He hit a sacrifice fly his next time up and walked the time after. So A-Rod, who started the scoring in this one with a memorable home run against El Duque. What a blast it was. A soaring, majestic drive to the back wall of the bullpen out there.
Well, I think Alex is working his way toward being a true Yankee.
You think he's...
Yeah, he's getting close.
You think he's getting close?
Yeah. Whatever that means, I just think that he is just having a fabulous year.
And maybe by October, a true former Yankee.
Yeah.
That's a ball inside. Of course, that's a well-documented and much talked about aspect. His contract, he could declare himself a free agent at the end of this year. He has an option to do that.
Well, Johnny's got 73 RBIs, and this is his 67th game.
27 homers, 73 batted in 67 games.
And remember, he hit 35 home runs total last year.
Yeah. What a terrible year that was.
Yeah, exactly.
So I recall he only had about 105 RBIs or something.
Well, he may have that 100 RBIs before the All-Star break this year.
2-2 the count.
I just think you have to give him a lot of credit for, handling everything that was thrown at him. Remember, the fans were booing him last year. Everybody's trying to decide whether his ego could handle New York. This big stage. They were wondering if he could be a big fish in a big pond. He had been a big fish in a small pond in Texas before he came here.
Fastball away from Heilman. Well, he's got 27 homers. The next most home runs hit by a Yankee this year is 8.
Well, before Sheffield, when Sheffield was here, the two of them would hit 30 home runs plus. But they do not have that type of power anymore.
Shot left center field. Gomez will have to chase it out near that 399 marker. And Rodriguez has a double, his 15th of the year.
And that's why I said in the opening, we can talk about the great years everyone else is having, but he is still the guy. And everything's going to revolve around him for the rest of this season. That was a fastball, that changeup. Well, it looks like a changeup, but it was right in the middle of the plate. You can see, that's just a perfect swing. Very level. But I still think the best swing I've seen him make all year was the home run he hit off of Papelbon, because I thought that was just an unbelievable swing against one of the great relievers in the game.
And a huge win for the Yankees on that swing. So A-Rod's at second, and here is Posada, who is 0 for 3 in the game. With A-Rod at second, Joe, I've been wanting to ask you this trivia question, because I know you love it. That's a strike. The Excedrin trivia question. Which current Yankee was born the day Ron was born the day that Guidry got into his first major league game. Was it Jason Giambi? Was it
because he's on the disabled list.
Was it Derek Jeter? Was it Mariano Rivera? Or was it Alex Rodriguez? Who was born on the day that Ron Guidry made his major league debut?
Well, since everything else is revolving around A-Rod right now, I'm going to say A-Rod.
Man, you were good.
I was?
Guidry made his major league debut on July 27th, 1975. There's the man himself. And on that same day, one Alex Rodriguez came into this world. Log on to ESPN.com and search Excedrin to answer additional trivia. Now, that doesn't sound like if that doesn't sound like a great Yankee was born, then what does? But is he going to remain a Yankee, or is he going to be a former Yankee? 1-2 the count to Posada. Look out.
I don't have any inside information or anything, but with the year that he's having, I think he's going to stay.
Now, if he becomes a free agent, you think there'll be any other teams that will try to sign him?
Not many that could afford him. That's the other key. There are not a lot of teams that could afford him. Besides, I still think he likes being a big fish in a big pond.
Well, he looks like he's enjoying it this year, that's for sure. As Posada rips one, right field, gone! A home run!
And that's one of your typical left-handed hitter's swing. Take that low fastball and drill it into the seats.
Willie Randolph takes the ball from Aaron Heilman, who gave up a line drive home run over that 300. Sunday Night Baseball from the big ballpark in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium. And the New York Yankees are putting up the big numbers again as they're closing in on their 14th win in their last 17 games. The Red Sox won their game over the Giants earlier tonight. Here's the American League National League Showdown presented by State Farm. The team with the overall best interleague record. The Yankees just barely over the Athletics. The Florida Marlins have done well in interleague games. White Sox also. And the Mariners, although the White Sox are just not doing well against any teams in whatever league right now. They're 9 games under 500. That's got to be one of the, for me, Joe, one of the biggest mysteries around. There's a fastball from Pedro Feliciano in from the Mets bullpen.
Well, the Mariners were playing well until they went to Houston and got swept.
And the Astros, who were having a hard time beating anybody for about 3-4 weeks. They got well against the Mariners, who have lost 5 in a row now. Matsui has 1 hit tonight in 3 at-bats. Feliciano in his 30th game of the year, and he's done well as a specialist. Alex Rodriguez, a homer tonight, 3 runs batted in. He doubled in this inning as Matsui lifts a foul off the left field line back into the crowd. Peter Gammons, Alex Rodriguez having the big year, and it continues.
Well, it's going to make him a lot more money. Not that he hasn't made a lot already, but, I mean, clearly he's going to opt out of the contract and go out on the market again. And the question is going to be, you know, will somebody give him about 8 years and say $200 million? I mean, it could be the Angels, which is a great market for him. The Yankees may match the offer, but this will be a very interesting offseason for Alex and his agent, Scott Boras.
That ball to left field hit well. Gomez on the move. Nice play. And we saw some of that speed right there. Matsui out number 1.
Well, the one thing you have to think about with A-Rod, he was the best shortstop in the American League before he moved to third base. Would he want to go someplace and play shortstop again? That's a question, because he will not be a shortstop in New York because of Derek Jeter.
And I think that's a good point. The Yankees could probably give him whatever the money is that he would desire, but they can't really give him shortstop.
No.
Here's Robinson Cano, and that's in there first.
And there's one thing I learned about this game all those years. Once you're a shortstop, because that's a special position, it takes a special person to play shortstop. But it's a charismatic position. It's like center field. Center field and shortstop are kind of glamour positions.
There is Gotay throwing out Cano. Out number 2, although Carlos Delgado thought it was out number 3. So Delgado, he was ready to go in for the 9th inning.
Well, he's in a hurry to get to a bat.
Gotay made the play, and Delgado said, okay, let's go up and hit. One more. Wait a minute. And there for a strike to Melky Cabrera. He's hitless tonight. The Yankees lead 8-1. They've hit 3 home runs in the game. A-Rod, Damon, and Posada. Posada's great year continuing. Little tap up the first base side. And nobody's covering. And he beats it out. Pedro Feliciano focused on picking that one up, not letting it roll foul, and then he kind of forgot the second part of that equation. That was pretty weird, Joe.
Well, I thought he was going to try to pick it up and tag him, but his momentum carried him across the line, and he wasn't able to catch it. Now watch, I thought right here, pick it up and tag him. But he ran across the line, and then he didn't have a chance. Right there, all you got to do is stop, but I guess you do not want to stop in the middle of a freeway either. Melky was flying down the line.
Now here's Miguel Cairo. And that's off the outside. Cairo has doubled home a run, grounded out, and grounded into a double play. 8-1, the Yanks ahead here in the last of the 8th inning. Peter, you hearing any other trade rumors? We talked about the Yankees and the Mets, possible trades. Anybody else talking trade that you're hearing?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about Eric Gagne from Texas, and Detroit is very interested. Cleveland's talked to them. There are a number of teams because there are so few teams that, that really have any depth in the bullpen. So that's a name I think for certain he'll go before the trading deadline.
Well, the question is he healthy?
And that's the question, Joe. I mean, he has gotten thrown up to 94 miles an hour, and with his changeup, I mean, it's not exactly Trevor Hoffman, but he can be like that. But the only problem is, can he repeat? You know, a couple of scouts have seen him pitch back-to-back nights, and the velocity hasn't been there the second night.
Well, he wrapped one up today, and his numbers for the amount of time that he's pitched this year are excellent. I think it's 18 innings and only 9 hits allowed.
And everyone knows about the heart. I mean, if he can repeat back-to-back games, you know that he's tough enough to be outstanding.
Down the right field line and into the crowd. So the count is now full, 3-2 to Miguel Cairo. Also, some of the teams that you've heard rumored interested in Gagne, such as the Tigers, for instance. These teams have closers already. Are teams looking at him as a closer, or would teams like to put him in a setup role?
In some cases, a setup role. I think they're just a combination. I mean, Todd Jones has done a wonderful job for the Tigers, but they really miss Joel Zumaya, and he might not be back this year.
Still 3-2 to Miguel Cairo. Another name I keep hearing is the guy who hit 2 home runs today for the Reds, Adam Dunn. Got 19 home runs, and been a lot of talk swirling around him.
It could be. I mean, the Dodgers are not interested. There are a few teams that have inquired. The problem is he has options for $13 million each of the next 2 years. If he's traded, he's out of those options, and he can become a free agent at the end of the year.
That pitch went behind Cairo, and it hit him. That's why Castro was not chasing the ball. Melky Cabrera said, well, nobody's going to chase it. I'm just going to go to third. But the ball is dead when it hits the batter. So Cairo is aboard and hit by the pitch. 2 men on with 2 men out, and the leadoff man, Johnny Damon, is coming up. Damon, who's had a single and a homer tonight and a couple of runs batted in. And Joe, I think we talked about this earlier this year. Ken Griffey Jr. is a name that comes up as well with the Reds. But Griffey has a say in it, personally.
Yeah, well, he has a no trade, and he's having a good year now. Hitting over 280, 18 home runs. I don't know if he hit a home run today or not, but
not today.
He's been hitting home runs in bunches lately.
He's closing in on 600.
Yeah. Well, he's about 6 behind Mark McGwire at this point. 2 behind McGwire. Okay.
Oh,
Sammy
2 now to David.
Sammy Sosa has 599.
Griffey 581.
McGuire's at 583.
And a pop-up. David Wright will give way to Reyes. And that's the inning. One last chance for the Mets with Castro, Beltran, and Wright. Delgado will be due up 4th. Chien-Ming Wang. Thanks, guys. Coming up on SportsCenter, Derek Jeter is the Sunday Conversation on SportsCenter right after the ball game. Ball 1 from Chien-Ming Wang, who has 10 strikeouts. He set a career record tonight. Ramon Castro was one of those strikeout victims in his only at bat. That was in the 7th inning. Left center field on the move is Matsui. He'll have to chase it, and that bounces over the wall. An automatic double. That's out into that Death Valley area here at Yankee Stadium.
Well, we talked about Wong, the difference that Joe Torre told us about, and that was his slider and his changeup. Let's take a look at how he's used his slider and his changeup throughout the ball game. There's one strikeout with a nice slider, another one to Beltran with a slider in the dirt, slider to right, and here's the changeup. Beltran chases the changeup, changeup down. I mean, you can see what he's doing. He was able to get Reyes there with the changeup on a 2-1 pitch. But those are the pitches. That's the reason I think we've seen him set a career high as far as strikeouts with 10, because the slider has really helped him and the changeup has helped him to keep the hitters off balance, because before they were all looking for the sinker, and you can make contact with the sinker if that's what you're looking for. When you have to look for more than that one speed, it makes a big difference.
Beltran, he's been mean to him tonight. Beltran is 0 for 3. He has not hit the ball out of the infield. He's hit a double play ball. He's struck out. Grounded out to second his last time. These are hard times for Beltran.
When I talked to him today, John, he said his quad was still not 100%. So, you know, that's probably one of the reasons that he's struggling a little bit. Although he seems to be getting pretty good jumps in the outfield, but he's not swinging the bat as well.
It's going to be a foul off the right field line. Into the crowd.
And we saw Big Papi in Boston. He had hamstring problems. He wasn't hitting the ball out of the ballpark either.
1-2 the count. The Mets will drive back to Shea after the game, and they'll meet the American League Central Division champions from last year, the Minnesota Twins, for 3 days. The Twins, those are not easy games. The Twins are a real tough team. And they hit extremely well. Torrey Hunter's just having, he's got a chance maybe to have his best all-around year.
And he's doing it at a good time.
He's a free agent at the end of the season.
And he's being compared with some of the other free agents to be Andrew Jones, Ichiro. Some of the guys are going to be out there in the market if they're not signed before the season is over.
Mets then play the Athletics next weekend. The defending National League, or in fact, the defending world champion Cardinals after that. And Beltran gets his first hit of the game. And it will be just a single, as Abreu played that one quickly and got it back. Scoring is Castro, an RBI single for Carlos Beltran. 2 straight hits to start the inning against Chien-Ming Wang.
Well, not only that, John, that pitch is up. We talked about it, you know, Wang he's had 104 pitches going into this inning. And watch where this pitch is. This is why all of a sudden it's not sinking. Now, see, that ball didn't sink. And he could be tiring a little bit, although a lot of sinker ball pitchers tell you it sinks more when they get tired. I don't believe that. with a guy like Wong because he throws a lot harder than your normal sinker ball pitcher.
And he's at 111 pitches now. The most pitches he's ever thrown in a game, 114. That was last month against the Boston Red Sox. David Wright, the hitter, 0 for 3, although he scored a run reaching after striking out on a wild pitch in the 7th. And it's ball 1. Carlos Delgado on deck. You saw the lefty Mike Myers up in the bullpen, so one way or the other, this could be the last man that Wong faces. David Wright at the plate. 8-2, the Yankees are leading. Chien-Ming Wang, 10 strikeouts and only 1 walk allowed in this one. Rodriguez, the second one. Cano to first. Two, a double play.
They do that very smoothly. Nice start of the double play by Rodriguez and a nice turn at second base by Cano. And you're right, looks like that's going to be his last batter.
Fans are not happy about it. They wanted to get that complete game. But he'll get a big ovation now. 113 pitches, a career record, 10 strikeouts. And well on his way to his 4th consecutive win. And he departs to a standing ovation. He earned it. Doffs his cap. The toast of Taiwan and the big city of New York. 10 strikeouts. And he is our Chevrolet player of the game. And for his outstanding performance tonight, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to Major League Baseball's youth outreach program, reviving baseball in inner cities. Congratulations to Chien-Ming Wang. Carlos Delgado to face Mike Myers. This is not a safe situation. But, and I'm not sure exactly the point, Joe, but because when that double play was hit, I thought, well, hey, now he's going to be able to finish this game, maybe. But Joe Torre had his mind made up, and that's it. Here is Delgado. Maybe it's a matchup that's just too good to pass up. It's the last chance for the Yankees against the Mets. Delgado, as you see his season's numbers, he did not get a run with a double tonight.
Yeah, but he's 3 for 13 against Myers with 9 strikeouts in those 13 at bats.
So Joe just could not pass up those numbers, apparently. 0-2. Next Sunday we'll be in Atlanta. More interleague play. Gary Sheffield goes back to Atlanta, where he had some big years for the Braves with the Detroit Tigers. The American League champion Tigers in Atlanta next Sunday night at 8 Eastern. Strike 3 call. 10 strikeouts in 14 at bats for Delgado against Myers. And that is the way it ends. The New York Yankees take this weekend series and end up dead even with the Mets for the season series. The Yankees and Mets Subway Series is over for another year. If they play again this year, it'll be in the World Series. The Yankees over the Mets. The Yankees continue to ascend, and the Mets continue to falter. They have lost 11 of their last 12. The Yankees have won 14 of their last 17 and remain 8.5 back of the Boston Red Sox in the American League East. And the Mets, despite all of their problems, they are still a game and a half up in the National League East. Now, this is John Miller for Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. Thanks for tuning in. We say good night to you from New York. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Up next, SportsCenter. But first, a preview of the ESPN original miniseries, The Bronx is Burning.